Hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. I am Jeff. This is the self-proclaimed D cell of Delta Green, and we're going to be playing Impossible Landscapes tonight, continuing and probably concluding Chapter 1 of our campaign, unless things go really haywire, which could happen. But yeah, we're back. We had to take a 1 week break, but we get to come back for episode 7 to see how this all pans out. Hey, Galen, how's it going, man?
That's
Thanks for
actually a
joining
creepy
us.
doll.
Yeah, Ashley's here. It's just for a camera issue, so Ashley is
Yeah.
instead going to be a creepy doll with a butcher knife. If you know Ashley at all, you know that pretty much is her
On brand.
personality. So it's either creepy dolls that murder you in your sleep, or it's a cultist who murders you in your sleep. One of the two. So that's about it. But we're going to go ahead and introduce everyone here in a second. Before we get going, a couple other things that we are doing here on our channel. We have 4 ongoing shows right now, and we mix in occasional one-shots from time to time. We play games on Fridays, Saturdays, and Mondays. Fridays, you're going to see Delta Green most of the time as we move into chapters 2 and beyond. And on Saturdays, we just started up a brand new Worlds Without Number sandbox sci-fantasy crawl. That's at 6 p.m. Central, so we'll be playing that tomorrow. And then Mondays, we alternate between Alien on this channel and Things from the Flood over on the Free League Publishing channel. Thank you, LOL Monogatari. And thank you, look at these people in the cast
Hey.
remembering their Prime subs. It's always great. And honestly, if you have a Prime sub and you want to toss it our way, that's pretty cool too.
It's free if you have Amazon Prime.
It's free if you have Amazon Prime. Oh my gosh, Long. It's crazy. So before I do the summary wise and everyone just quickly reintroduce their characters, we'll just go super fast. Just say who you are, what you do, what you're thinking right now at this point. So we'll start with the creepy murder doll. So Ashley.
So I'm playing Agent Chelsea Smith. She's our intelligence analyst. She's basically like she's supposed to be the one who like talks to people, but last time when we were talking to people it didn't go so great, and I punched a man in his face.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's your job sometimes too.
That's pretty funny. I thought it was hilarious. And then I like how you punched him in the face and then you walked away. You're like, well, never mind. I guess I'm walking
And I'm
away
like,
now.
Vessel's got it.
Vessel's got this. So it's good though you were with Vessel, because Vessel is probably the most combat proficient in the group. So
Yeah.
okay. Speaking of Vessel, Long, who are you?
Yeah, it's me. I'm Vessel, the combat dude. I'm part of the hostage rescue team for the FBI.
And the two of you are both actual FBI agents, right? Like you're both
That's true.
in the FBI.
Yes. Yeah.
So your FBI names, like the names that you use, like in the FBI, is like FBI agent Chelsea Smith, right? Like the FBI, because you said like Rhode Island or something. So everyone knows you as Chelsea Smith. So this is just sort of your cover name, and that other one, Magnolia Rose, is like the real name or whatever. What about you, Vessel? Like, is this your FBI name? Is Agent Vessel your FBI
No,
name?
that's my cover. Wait, is it?
I don't
Hold on.
know. Asking for
Vessel
a friend.
is
That's
your-
myself.
Your
Multiple
cover
layers
name.
of cover.
Roll
multiple layers.
sand, Long. I just feel like you just went insane.
Who am I?
Oh my god, he critically failed.
Okay, in real life, you take 2 points of sanity
Yes,
damage.
just shove a pencil into your ear. I think Agent Vessel is what you go by with Delta Green. I was just wondering whether or not that's also what you go by with the FBI.
It's probably not a smart thing to do, so no.
Okay. All right. But Ashley already said yes, and
But
we have
I'm
it
dumb.
we have it on record, so
Got it.
we'll come back to that in a little bit. Bottom row, we have Derek. What's going on, man?
Yes, so I play Agent Aiden Album. He normally works for NASA as an astrophysicist and has been driven crazy by the building that we're in, driven mad at a sanity break. So he really just wants to tear the building down and get rid of it. Thinks it's evil, and he's super paranoid by it.
I honestly feel like there might be good reason for some of that paranoia. And you're, yeah. So, and you're the one who also kind of drove the idea last time of like, let's make bombs, let's blow this thing up. So,
Yeah.
yeah. And your chemical prowess very easily. You run around town, a couple stores, bought some stuff, made some bombs. Your Volkswagen bus is filled with them, etc.
Yep.
Awesome.
Typical Saturday night.
And then finally, Melissa, who are you?
I am Agent Fawn. I work for the National Park Service. My background is in archaeology, and I helped pour gas on things to expedite the Bernie burn blow things up agenda for this evening.
And I like how you guys heard us fighting that dude, and y'all are like,
Yeah, they
nah,
got it. They
that's
got it.
cool."
They got it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so let's get going. We are in New York City. It's 1995. It's August. You are the self-proclaimed D-cell. I think that's what you settled on at some point. You have been sent here, activated to investigate the disappearance of a young artist by the name of Abigail Wright, who lives within the McAllister building. She went missing a couple months ago. And it wasn't her disappearance itself that sparked the interest of Delta Green. It was actually the discovery of some occult symbology within the hoarder-like apartment that she lived in. And you all have come here under the guise of being FBI consultants. Two of you actually being in the FBI, one of whom using her FBI identity from her Rhode Island branch or whatever it is.
We got given identities.
Yes, but I just asked you, and
I'm just saying.
Just saying. So you basically
Which makes
came
sense,
here.
though, because I got in trouble. Remember?
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, you had a weird day. You had a weird Sunday. So you all came here, and you've been going through some stuff. And while you were here, you discovered some really wacky stuff is going down in the McAllister building. Most importantly, it's supposed to only be ground floor, first floor, second floor, but as you guys went up one night, you discovered that the floors just keep going, and you could get lost in them, and like it almost seems like they're ever shifting, and they're just there to like confuse you. You met a couple strange folks who lived in those floors, including Mark Roark, who seems to be some kind of salesman from like early 20th century. You met a guy named Castaigne, who is the night manager, despite the company who owns the building having no idea who this person is and having never hired a night manager. But they claim to be a night manager, and they had all sorts of stuff on their walls that didn't really add up historically to what really happened in human society in the 20th century. You discovered a cable guy in the middle of these halls named David Langford, who you rescued, sort of. Then you like interrogated him, and then you dragged him back inside, and then you gave him over to someone. He might be dead. He might be pieces of meat right now. He might be in the East River. No one really knows at this
I
point.
feel like that's our slogan. Like, we might get the job done.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Hey, listen. If you want to make an omelet, you got to break a few eggs. So it happens. If you want to solve a Delta Green operation, you have to destroy the lives of a couple cable guys. And yeah, like last specific episode, it was basically a Saturday and Sunday. You all managed to get out of the night floors. You started doing some research into some of the things you found, because you found a lot of strange stuff. You have a lot of things to look into, a lot of names. It's dizzying, the amount of things that you could potentially look into. Agent Fawn was doing a variety of households in New York on a Sunday. Everyone really liked that. So you met with Cynthia LeChance from Art Life. You met with Carmen Wagner, who was Roger Caroon's editor. You met with Mike Sievers, who was Louis Post's agent. Louis Post and Roger Caroon being residents of the McAllister building. You can pipe in if there's something specific that you want to talk about, but that's what you did. Chelsea, you went to the New York field office for the FBI. You have been looking for something to do with Le Roi en Jaune, some sort of French book that you discovered was a play, and that the only thing that ever popped up on was just some sort of reference to some kind of crime spree that was going on in France in the late 19th century. That just happened to be going on at the same time that this play was being performed in Paris. Vessel and Album, you went shopping for explosives and gasoline. You made some bombs, etc., including a remote detonator. Detective Giordanda contacted Album because earlier Vessel had gone and spoke with David Langford, the cable guy's brother, and that made the cable guy's brother think that something's going on with his case. And so now what looked like it was just a case of a guy skipping town because he didn't want to pay alimony might be something more. Then Sunday night, you all came back to the McAllister building. Fawn and Album were soaking the hallways in gasoline and getting ready to blow up the place. Whereas Chelsea and Vessel had planned to visit Van Fitz's apartment because of something strange David Langford said to Vessel. But first, you guys went to Roger Caroon's place. That's the guy you guys beat up. You handcuffed him to a radiator. You busted in. You hacked into his word processor unit. You found a whole mess load of story files, but each story file was like an individual word just typed over and over again. And you found some strange cryptic message. And also a copy of a play called The Night Floors, which had kind of a plagiarized feel to it. And then you left him, I believe you left him handcuffed to the radiator. You took his word processor, and then you headed back out into the hallways of the McAllister building. I think that's everything, right?
Well, and all of the files, like together by date order, spelled out. Smooth is the hand that makes the world, and steady is the mind that grasps.
Exactly. Yep. 100%. So let's get started. So we'll start up, and we are in the building, in the hallways. We see good old Agent Fawn, Agent Album. You are pouring gasoline. Is it in the hallways, like on the carpet? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, just trying to make it a nice little fireball. Basically, you want to make sure everything ignites and
Sure.
self-destructs.
Okay,
Yes.
fair enough.
Maximum destruction.
So you are just soaking the hallway carpets filled with gasoline, hitting the mailroom. At some point, you hear the door open above. You hear a faint sound of that jazz music that you kind of know where it's coming from. There's a momentary scent of like cigar smoke and that wafts down, but it's kind of overpowered by the gasoline stench that you're pouring into the carpets themselves. Moments later, you hear another door open, close. You hear footsteps coming down the staircase, and there you see Agent Vessel and Chelsea looking a little bit disheveled, like their hair's a little bit messed up, but like they don't look hurt or anything like that. And they're carrying a word processor. We're going to put it at about 11 o'clock at night on Sunday, and the four of you are on the ground floor near Abigail Wright's and Thomas Manuel's apartments in the hallway. No one else is around. What's going on? What do you guys want to do?
Sounded like you guys had a scuffle in there.
Yeah, he gave us a bit of trouble. He really wanted to protect whatever was on this. And we'll explain the story and word processor stuff.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that all this creepy stuff he's written about, but it doesn't seem like it's his work?
Yeah, in closer inspection, it didn't seem like he was the one writing it.
Who would he plagiarize from? Do we have any ideas?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe like the weird demon that we're trying to get rid of. And like Chelsea's
Like
a little frazzled.
You think like a possession?
No, I don't know enough about that to like tell you what a possession looks like, but it's weird. This place could be possessed more so than like just him.
And Album will hold up his gas tank and say, "Well, that's what this is for."
So at that point, the door opens up to Thomas Manuel's apartment. You see him step out. He's got his headphones on that aren't connected to any kind of Walkman. He gives you like the faintest of looks, doesn't seem to like do any kind of double take with your gasoline, and just moves towards the front entrance to the building, goes out the stoop, and you watch him as he turns before the door closes and seems to be going down the stairs into the basement.
Oh, now that I saw his face, it reminded me of something. I was spying on him, and he was talking to, looks like himself. It's possible that the story is written by whatever he might have been talking to as well.
And as Fawn is sort of holding the, gas can in her hand, she's gonna say, "Are we gonna try to get him out, or are we just gonna?"
mean, they seem crazed about this stuff. I don't know if they can keep quiet if they do come out.
Could
Might-
spread it if they're infected
Might be
with
something
it.
we have to close out.
Might we want to make sure he doesn't leave the basement then?
Yes. I think that would be probably the best idea.
Album's gonna look at Vessel. Well, actually, Album knows enough about Vessel with like hostage and rescue that he has combat experience, right?
Of course.
Okay, so then Album will kind of say like, Vessel, I know how to make things that go boom, but I don't know how to. Where do I put this to make sure this cursed building comes down?
Oh yeah, I've dealt with terrorists that want to blow up the buildings as they hold hostages. I'll know a couple places.
Okay. Yeah, so Album will hand over some of the explosives and then just ask for where to put the ones
Okay.
he has.
All right. So Vessel, you're gonna take to finding key places to put these various improvised explosive devices. Okay.
Mhm.
Roll a demolitions test.
Yeah, these just go right around here.
Yeah.
That's not what we needed.
You find, you just start placing them base of the stairs, exterior walls. You point him to specifically where certain,
Yeah, and this potted plant should be good too.
Oh my god.
I love our elaborate
It's great.
plans always get fucked over by the dice.
They always get just made even better by the time. So yeah, you spend probably about a half an hour kind of piecing them about.
I'm sure one goes in like the wall sconce that we tried to like hide the little audio recorder in.
So, is there something structurally integral
God.
potted plant exactly? So while Vessel is doing that, do any of the three of you want to do anything else? There are people in the building. You know that Manuel went downstairs. You know that these people don't leave. You heard the door open and somebody went up to the night floors. You remember last time David Langford had mentioned something about Van Fitz's apartment being kind of weirdly shaped in some way. Is there something more that you want to do? Because I will say that once the building explodes, this is sort of one of those types of things where you point of no return. So if there's something else you're wanting to do before you blow this building up, now would be a good time.
I think we should get the I know they technically turned off the water, but still mess with the sprinkler system to make sure it can't easily put things out.
Okay.
And then maybe see if we can mess with the outside sprinkler system and get like the surrounding like ground and stuff wet so that the fire doesn't spread.
There's not enough. Like it's a brownstone. There's not like a
Okay.
yard or anything out front. There's like some gardening pots maybe out front, but that's that. You don't see
Okay,
anything. It's fairly close to the street. But yeah, that's fine. Yeah, interior. Okay. What else do you want to do? We'll get to that in a second. Other thoughts that you want to do while Vessel is laying some pipe bombs.
Anybody going up to Van Fitz's apartment?
You and Album are unaccounted for at this point because Chelsea's going to go mess with the.
Yeah, and I'm not talking to that lady again. Hard no.
Yeah, you guys could question her a bit more, see if she is like a freak towards this stuff, or she's just actually doing her job.
I'll give it a whirl, I guess.
Okay.
I can go with you. I have a decent enough persuade if I can use that.
Okay. That sounds good. So the two of you will head up to the first floor. Chelsea, you would probably be able to conclude because you do have. I think you have the plans of the building now from going to public records. That you would know that a lot of the plumbing is in the basement.
Yep.
And Vessel, you're moving around placing bombs. So Chelsea, why don't we start with you? Because we just had a doorbell ring in our house and Melissa's checking on it, so we're going to start with Chelsea really fast.
Okay.
You go outside, you go downstairs, you go into the basement. There's that same kind of swinging incandescent bulb light. There's the various small, kind of like caged rooms. You open the door, you step inside, you can hear a voice, and then it immediately stops talking once the sound of the door of you opening it kind of wafts through in there, and you just hear it kind of get quiet all of a sudden. You can see that there's like a water heater, there's all sorts of like HVAC equipment, there's all sorts of different equipment down here, but you go searching around looking for anything that might suggest like emergency sprinklers. Let's see what we can do. I'm trying to think of a role for this. You got heavy machinery maybe?
10 points.
We could do that. I mean, how clever do you want to be about this? Like, do you want this to be like, I want to sabotage this and then ensure that sabotage is like, is seen as just sort of basic maintenance problems, or do you just not care and you just want to hack it to pieces? Because if you just want to hack it to pieces, we'll just do a stat roll as opposed to a skill.
I want to try and do it like skillfully.
Okay. Yeah, roll heavy machinery.
Failure.
Okay. You spend a lot of time trying to deduce like the way the pipe system works, the pump systems. You know, it's a little beyond your expertise, and so at a certain point you just start smashing. You just start hacking away at stuff. Pipes begin to leak. Curiously, while you're doing this, at no point does Thomas Manuel, who you had passed to get into this little corner of the basement, seem to come kind of even pay you any mind. When you walk past him, he had his headphones over his ears, the cord dangling down to the ground, and he was situated in such a way that you couldn't see the canvas that he was looking at. But yeah, you spend about 10 minutes or so just smashing away at this, and you're unable to really do anything subtly.
Okay. Can't water heaters like explode?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking.
I'm an English
actually
teacher.
Asking Jeff.
Yeah, I don't see why not. Like in some way, sure.
I want to mess with that a little bit too.
Okay. I mean, with your 87 for heavy machinery, I would say trying to do any kind of controlled damage is.
But I mean like in the sense of like, I know there's like pressure valves and stuff.
Mhm.
So like, just turn it to where it starts accumulating too much pressure.
Okay. I would still say with an 87 on your heavy machinery roll that you probably aren't, 100% certain which valves
it
to turn.
correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, you're doing that, but then you're also just smashing things. You're being fairly inelegant about it. Okay. Then upstairs on the first floor, we switch over to Album and Fawn, who there's the room for Michelle Van Fitz. Neither of you were there the first time, right? Okay.
Right, yeah, but we heard, what Vessel and Chelsea had told us.
Okay.
Just about like her general attitude.
Yeah, you see her apartment. Apartment's door is closed.
I'll look at Fawn and say, how do you want to handle this if she wasn't so into it the first time?
I say we're probably just going to need to just kind of muscle our way through. Just, we want to look around. It doesn't require her to say much, but we're going to do what we need to do.
Is there anything in particular you want to ask or that we want to look for?
I think we were just kind of wanting to poke around the apartment, just kind of get a feel for if there's something inside that, like an extra room or something like that. That's weird.
But how do we keep to our cover of looking for Abigail?
We've got a tip of some sort that, there's something in here that we need to look for, some piece of evidence.
Okay.
Okay, you
Do
knocking
we-
on the door, or you just?
I was to say, yeah. With that album, we'll like loudly knock on the door.
Okay. You wait 20, 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Knock again at some point. After a minute, no one answers.
Let's see if we can get in ourselves.
Yeah, I try to just open the door, see if it's locked.
Yeah, it's locked. It's got like it's old. It's jiggling a little bit. It's kind of fragile, but it does seem to be locked.
All right, what do we roll to try to break the lock? Pick the lock?
Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to try to pick it, or
Pick
do you
it.
want to try to break it? Ashley, what were we rolling for you? Do you remember? I don't remember. I really should remember this kind of stuff.
I did stealth, I think, a couple times to pick a lock.
Was that the right thing? I can't remember if we ended up
And
doing
then
the right thing.
if we were doing, like, if I wasn't trying to be subtle about it, I think we just did unarmed to, like, break it.
Yeah, go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll stealth. I feel like there's something else. We play too many games, and I'm losing track of the skills.
I failed.
Okay. It takes a while, and at a certain point, maybe your frustration gets the better of you, and you just sort of break the knob. And as you're messing around with it, you have like the your various tools inside, trying to pick it, drop the hold the tumbler down, and everything. And as you're messing around, you just in a fit of annoyance, you just sort of just smash it, and the actual handle of the door just hangs down.
At some point, the thought crosses my mind that we're going to blow the building up anyway. So, like, why am I bothering to be so careful about this stupid lock?
Yeah. But yeah, it's you busted it in. It's never gonna appear as if anything other than somebody tried to break in and broke the door handle happened. But you could go in if you wanted.
Yes, let's go inside.
Okay. You push open into the room itself. I don't think anyone has actually been in this room before. Is that correct? Because I think the last time...
Yeah, we weren't able to go in.
Yeah, you guys weren't able to get inside. But when you go inside, it immediately it looks just like all of the other apartments. The same kind of layout. You got like a small bathroom. You've got a couple like really tiny condensed closets. You've got a kind of a kitchenette area, and like this, what basically looks like a cubby hole, right? Like this little tiny cramped apartment, just like Abigail's and just like Thomas Manuel's, except here her apartment is, first of all, you notice it's just filled with books. There's hundreds of them. Bookshelves, they're on bookshelves neatly. They're stacked up on tables. They're stacked up on the floor. There are books everywhere. You know her to be a poet, but there are quite a few here. But what kind of, and after looking at the basic layout of the bedroom nook, the bathroom, the kitchen, the living room, even are all normal, you do notice one very glaring difference between this apartment and the others that you've been in, and that's this open archway on the north wall of the living room. And you can see that beyond this archway are just rows and rows of books.
Fawn would like to take a peek at those books.
Which ones?
Through the archway.
Okay.
Just
Yeah, you step up.
grab.
No, they're literally, it's like you're looking at just an endless rows of books, thousands of them, as you peek into it. It looks like you're in like your NYU law library again, as there's just rows and rows of books. It just, you have the plans of this building. This makes no sense. There's just no way this would fit. And like you peer down them.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm
but-
gonna
go
try to just keep walking forward and looking back and walking forward and looking back and kind of being confused about kind of this spatial orientation of
Okay.
what this is.
Okay. All right. So you're moving into the stacks and you're looking a bit. Album, what are you doing?
So he's gonna look at the regular apartment area and see if there's like any kind of, even with the person who owns a lot of books, he's gonna look for like the ones that are the most prized or the most cherished, that are in like a special place or maybe a little better kept than the others. Something that just stands out. So I guess like with the search roll,
Yeah, roll search. That works.
success.
Okay. You start going through the books, and you're looking for specifically for prized books, or books that sort of are stand out in a way, or they're like separated in some fashion. And one of them catches your eye. It's definitely older. It's got this red leather binding. It's hard to pin a specific date on it. You don't notice anything on the spine of the book to suggest a publisher or an author. You don't even see a title on the cover. It's just this red leather bound book that almost fits in your hand. Maybe it's a little bit bigger than your hand. And you flip it open and you look at the first couple of pages and you get the title, and it says The King in Yellow.
And remind me that did Chelsea tell us about this book and like all of the history behind it, or is that
Yes.
still meta?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So then Album will call down to Fawn and say, "I found that book Chelsea was looking for." If she can even hear me.
Do I hear him from the other side of the archway?
I mean, how far would you have gone? You said you were going in a ways, right? If he
Yeah.
if he's shouting out, yeah, he hears you, or
Okay.
you hear him. Excuse me.
I'll definitely come back. I want to lay eyes on this book myself.
Okay.
Open it up.
What's your alert?
1 second. 20.
Okay. You start walking back, and as you pass through, like I said, you're like kind of like in it's almost like a library. There's just rows and stacks and like crossways and such. It's unfathomable. And you're starting to move your way back using his voice to kind of like echolocate the direction. You hear like a book like just fall somewhere. You kind of turn your head to look off to your left, and when you turn back around, Michelle Van Fitz is right in front of you, and she holds up a bottle of something to your face, and she as you feel this intense burning overcome you, as you have just been maced. Let me see if I have to do it.
Crap.
Yeah. And I'll say, Album, go ahead and roll an alertness.
It's a fail.
Okay. I would say you kind of hear probably Fawn scream out in pain.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look down to see if you can find which specific row, you don't immediately see her, but you hear her screaming in pain. So what is your dexterity there, Melissa?
Is that dodge?
14.
I just need to know
70%?
Dex. I just need to know your dex score.
14.
Okay. All right. Because we're just going to do a quick little initiative here. And then what's yours, Album?
My dex is 13.
Okay. So that's Fawn. Album. Okay. And so I need you to roll a con times 5, Fawn, as you are just reeling around, your hands and covering your eyes, and you're just feeling just an intense blurriness. It's burning. It's up in your nose. Your eyes are watering. You're trying to see. You can see that she's still near you. You can kind of sense her. You can smell her a bit. So roll that con times 5 and tell me how you do.
Succeeded.
Okay, you're able to blink away some of the mace. So basically, the mace stunned you, and so that means on your turn, which is what this is, you get a chance to kind of shake off the stun, but you do lose basically an action.
Okay.
Album, you hear her screaming. What do you want to do? You're next up.
So knowing that I'm
you didn't immediately see her, but you can hear her for sure.
Yeah, if I can recognize that the scream was in pain, knowing that I don't have any combat prowess, I'm going to run to the front door and
Okay.
just shout down the hall, Vessel, get up here now.
Yeah, that sounds good. Vessel, your alertness is so high by
80.
default at like I think you have 80 or something. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll say you hear it. Roll a d6. We'll see what floor you're on. Okay, you are one floor above them, so you're on that empty floor. So floor 2, so you're one floor above them, but you hear suddenly Album shouting from
Yeah,
below.
I'll drop what I'm doing and rush towards it.
All right, what's your dex?
You're planting the bombs
Just
like
just your basic
high
dex.
up.
10.
10. Wow, that's
Yeah.
surprisingly low for a guy who's supposed to be good at stuff that involves physical prowess. Nothing personal.
Power is probably pretty high.
I don't mean that you're not very good at anything. Okay.
Also, when I was yelling out his name, since I still have that book, and I know that we've won it, I'm going to like toss it down the hallway so that, I'll just toss it down the hallway so that I don't leave it in the apartment.
Okay, you just drop it on the floor in the middle of the hallway? Gotcha. Okay, so, Fawn, as you're wiping away the the mace, you can see like her silhouette as she's moving around you, and you hear her like kind of mumbling something, and she's just kind of talking nonsense. She's like, "You're not taking any of my books. You're not taking any of them." And she's going to swing out with something that you can't quite make out. It's some kind of weapon. Okay. I need a 45. She rolls a 5.
Oh.
You are going to take 8 points of damage
Oh.
as you feel burying right into your shoulder, almost right at the base of the neck, like it's going right for the jugular. Some sort of crude, almost dulled blade just digs right into your shoulder. It's the most intense pain you ever felt in your life. Vessel, you said you were running down. We'll say you're running down the stairs. You're going to get right outside the doorway to Van Fitz on your turn, and we'll go back up to Fawn. You just got hacked, and now that you're clearing your eyes away, you can see that she ripped out whatever it is that she attacked you with, and she's holding in her hand what now is a bloody tomahawk.
Oh, jeez.
Fawn, what do you want to do? You just took 8 points of damage. How many HP do you have in total, by the way, before you took that damage?
That took half of my.
That took half?
Yeah.
Okay, you are stunned. Whenever you take damage equal to or more in one shot than half of your current health, you become stunned. So you are stunned from just the intense pain and shock. Roll a con times 5.
Mm-mm.
A tomahawk. Yes.
I failed.
And you are just reeling around, grabbing at your neck, grabbing at your shoulder as blood's just sort of beginning to pour out and down your arm. You can feel like bits of like the bone of your collarbone has probably been broken in some way. And that's your turn, unfortunately.
Oh,
as
damn.
you're
I
a
had
whole...
pepper spray. I really wanted a pepper spray.
I'm sorry. That's why I asked. I rolled an 8 on a D8, and I just was checking with your HP. I just looked up that roll before we started, actually. It's going to go to Album. Album,
okay.
your turn.
Writhing around in pain.
You see Vessel coming down the stairs. He's basically right at the door to the apartment. You can see him, books on the ground. What do you want to do?
I'm assuming I would hear another cry of pain from Fawn.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes,
I'll
you would.
try to like run to her if I'm able to do another, I guess, alertness to try and pinpoint.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, go ahead and do it at plus 20 at this point, because now there's all sorts of noise. Now you hear Michelle Van Fitz is screaming, saying, "You'll not take my book, no!"
I still failed.
Okay. You head into the direction. You're like looking around specifically for you. You hear this, like the sounds of footprints or the sound of footsteps, books getting knocked down to the ground. You see shadows like kind of moving around in the distance, like a kind of a row or two away, but it's kind of dark, and so you're not sure which one's which. So you can kind of vaguely see them, but you're not entirely sure which one's which. We'll say.
Album will probably, expecting it to be a violent situation based on the cries, we'll just kind of try and bluff and yell, we are surrounding you, we have guns, do put any weapons down and lay on your stomach now or you will be taken out.
Okay.
As, like, intimidatingly as you can.
Okay, I like it. All right. All right. So, Agent Vaughn, you hear Album coming. He's shouting, pain coursing through you. You're kind of getting even a little bit woozy at this point, as like the blood loss is there, and you're trying to track her. The mace is still in your eyes. You're looking around, and you hear a whoof of air as she goes to swing at you again.
Oh no. Please miss.
Yeah, same thing. 45. Oh, that's a critical fail. Yeah, so that's a critical fail. So I'm going to say as she swings at you, like you just dumb luck, or maybe the shouting of Album distracts her momentarily. She turns quickly back over her shoulder. The tomahawk clips like the side of a bookcase, and it goes sprawling on the ground away from her. So she like kind of disarms herself. Vessel, your turn. You're at the doorway to this apartment here. You just saw Album kind of running. He's shouting something. You hear the sounds of Fawn from the inside screaming in pain.
Yeah, it looks like a high tense situation, so I'll just charge in and subdue her, tackle her.
Okay. Your alert's high enough, but I'm gonna say like because of how far in she is, like you can get to them with this turn because in Delta Green you get an action, and so like you'll charge in
part of the action or.
I mean, with how far you have to run from the entrance to the, like you're basically moving through like 3 rooms and then into the books, and because you have to go past the bathroom, the kitchenette, into the living room, through the archway, and into the book stacks. It's kind of a long way to go. So I feel like
I'll just go like what I'm allowed to move, and then pull out my gun and force her to comply.
Okay. Well, we'll say this: roll an alert, and we'll see if you can roll your alert. Okay.
Yeah, success.
So you're running in. You have your gun out in hand. You see them at a distance. You're not particularly close, but you can see them at a distance. You see Album's kind of going. It looks like Album's going in the same direction. What do you want to do? I'll let you take an action, and then you can either run up and get closer to be right there to help subdue, or if you have your gun out, you can attempt to shoot if you want as well.
Oh, okay. I didn't want to. Actually, yeah.
I just think that the distance you had to run, if you want to get all the way to her, that's the entirety of your. Yeah.
I see. Okay, I might better just moving up close then.
When we can play to shoot, man, shoot. Ashley is also agreeing with this. You can, with your alertness and with the roll, you can see Agent Fawn is bleeding pretty heavily. There's like this light that's kind of swaying overhead, and she's just got a bunch of blood coming down her.
Spurting.
It's I don't think it hit the jugular, but it got close.
All right, looks like it's a dire situation, so I might have to aim and shoot.
Okay, go. I say just shoot.
Just shoot
because you already moved. So just roll your shoot. Roll your range combat.
Firearm, right?
Firearm, sorry. Yeah.
Success.
Okay. Roll the damage on your gun.
D10, I believe. 4.
Okay, 4 points of damage. So yeah, you get her. You aim, you fire, you hit her probably somewhere in the back. You can see lower back, probably off to the right, center, relatively center mass, but she doesn't go down. She's still up. She's still swinging away. Fawn, it's back up to you. Roll your con again. because you didn't pass it last time.
Oh. Oh no, I failed again.
Yeah, the pain from this, like you're kind of starting to slouch against the bookcase. You're pulling some books down, they're just falling to the ground. Your eyes are in the process of just kind of getting kind of woozy from the loss of blood, but also the mace is still lingering. Album, your turn. You can see them now. What do you want to do? A vessel's on the scene. He just fired, just shot her, but this woman doesn't seem particularly deterred.
Did I see the tomahawk fall to the ground? When
Yeah,
she,
you did.
I'm gonna grab that
Okay,
if I can.
I'll say yeah. If you want to run over and pick it up, we'll say that can be your turn. Like, do you want to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you run over, you pick up her weapon, no problem. She comes around. She sees you run up. Sees that you took the tomahawk. She's gonna turn back to Fawn, and she's going to attempt to claw your eyes out. She just reaches forward and just tries to just claw at your face. A little bit harder to hit for her. This is a 40 I need. 38 is a success. That's going to be 1d4 minus 1 points of damage. 3 points of damage to you.
Okay.
And she's now clawing away at your face. Vessel, your turn.
I'm gonna fire a follow-up shot.
Okay. Do you want... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's shoot it. Oh, I failed.
That's a failure. As the shot goes wide, it's just the movement. Album like streaks in front of you right at the last second, picks up the tomahawk, kind of throws off your aim a little bit. As Van Fitch lunges towards Fawn and is ripping at her eyes, like you see the glimpse of Fawn show up, and you're just very so carefully like just adjusting because you don't want to hit Fawn.
I'll move up closer as well.
Okay, Fawn, what do you want to do?
Do I have to do this con thing again?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I succeeded.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think it's your next turn you'll get to go again, but you've finally kind of shaken free and you're ready to go. Album, you have a tomahawk in your hand. What would you like to do?
I don't know if my first attempt to command her worked since I couldn't see her, but I'm gonna try. I don't know if this is like persuade or something else, but I'm going to look at Michelle and say, like, do the math, Michelle. Like, you don't have a weapon, you've been shot, you're either going to come with us quietly or you're going to go down for good, and you will never see your books again. He makes sure to point that out.
Okay. I would say, even with your 12 human, I think you can safely conclude that she doesn't care, and that she is...
Okay, then I'll just hit her with the tomahawk.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen.
So you walk up, you try to hammer her with her own tomahawk. You, like, the blade kind of twists in your hand as you bring it down, and you kind of hit her on the back of the head with the blunt of it. Doesn't really harm her too much. But yeah, you're now, there's two people now in close proximity, which is going to make firing even harder, Vessel. It is her turn. She's going to continue to claw away at Fawn's face. She's like trying to rip your mouth open now at this point.
This is gonna be bad.
And that's a crit fail for her, as she goes for again, she's reaching in to try and just like rip your mouth open, give you like a Joker smile. And
Should I just kind of
just checking
go
one.
fetal or something?
So critical fumble. I'm gonna say, okay, because she fumbled, as she's reaching forward, she loses her balance a little bit, and she actually slips on your blood that has dripped to the ground, and she stumbles and falls to the floor. That's her critical fail. Vessel, what do you want to do? She's now on the ground. You see, shooting into this melee is gonna be fairly dangerous. You can still do it, but like it's gonna be a little bit harder. Shooting into a crowd with a range attack requires the called shot action. Otherwise, a random member of the crowd takes the hit.
What's the rules on like lethality? I remember that being something. If that has anything to do with guns or not.
Does your gun have a lethality score?
I'm trying to see. Would it say on the weapon?
It would say it on the weapon, yeah.
Oh, I rolled it on
Not all of them do. Not all guns have a lethality weapon or lethality score.
Oh, you failed.
Let me look it up.
It should be punched in though. But if I think you're just using like a basic handgun.
Yeah,
I don't
just
think
a
you have
pistol.
some some fancy hand cannon.
Okay.
Those usually aren't lethal. But basically the rule is like if it has a lethality score, we roll, and if it could actually just straight up kill you. But in this case, it's not going to apply here. So what are you doing?
Yeah, there's no. I don't think there's lethality. I'm gonna run up, get in close combat then.
Okay.
Restrain her.
Go ahead and roll unarmed if you're trying to restrain her. As she's on the ground, if you want to like just flop on top of her, you can try. Roll your unarmed.
I'm failing everything.
Oh man.
no.
As you come stumbling up and like you try to like jump down on top of her and just pin her to the ground.
I'm grabbing onto Album and accident. Like,
But you
I got her,
trip,
I
you
got her.
fall, you bump into like Album's shin at this point, and yeah, it doesn't look impressive. Fawn, your turn. You have control again now. What do you want to do?
I need to crawl away.
Okay, yeah, if you just
stand
want to
and
escape.
run. Yeah, that's what I need to do. I'm not doing well and not really built for fighting.
Okay, so basically, there's what's it called? Escape. Actually, no, you're not pinned, so you don't
Yeah,
even
I'm not
have to.
pinned.
So you're just moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just moving then.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're just moving. Are you moving back into like the interior of the apartment?
Yeah, and I want to look for something that's potentially like throwable or hit for.
Plenty of books
whatever it is.
around. Sure. What's your search?
My search is a
Galen's calling you guys out. We're
30.
professionals.
I've been doing this for years. I've never missed a shot.
30.
My stealth is 30.
Yeah,
Sorry, search.
you'll find a fair.
Search.
Yeah, sure. There's like a heavy book stop on one of the shelves that you can
Okay.
grab. Just looks like a big half of a whale.
Got it.
And so you step a few feet away, out of her range. You grab it. Good to go. Album, you're up next.
So if she's on the ground, would it be unarmed combat to try and cuff her? Can I take a pair of Vessel's handcuffs and just try and cuff her hands?
Yeah, you can certainly try. I will say unarmed combat. However, Vessel, I think his handcuffs are on Roger Caroon in Roger Caroon's
Yeah.
apartment.
Maybe
so,
have some zip ties.
Don't
or
most
something?
cops usually have more than one pair though?
I don't know.
That's not how that works.
Vessel,
zip
roll a
ties
luck.
just,
Roll a
okay,
luck
let's
test,
see.
Vessel. Let's just roll luck. Let's see if he has it.
Roll up, baby.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. So he has. You see some other zip tie. Yeah, sure. You can give that a try. But it's still going to be unarmed combat.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's better than anything else I got.
Okay, go for it.
Doesn't matter though.
Okay, as you're trying, and she's just thrashing around like she is just rabid. She's like a rabid dog at this point. And then it'll be her turn. She's gonna look at the two of you. I'm gonna 50-50 this. 1 to 50, it's Album. It's Album, and she's going to turn to Album instead, and she's gonna start laying on the ground still. She's gonna reach over and just start gnawing on your shin. She is eating away as I lose my earbud at your shin. Critical fail again, and so okay. I'm gonna say as she's going to try to bite you, you get lucky as you turn as you just go to step out of the way, and just pure luck, just smash her in the face with your other shin as you're just dancing around, and we're gonna say she's stunned. And so on her next turn, she'll have to do what happened with Fawn. And then
Nice.
Vessel, your turn.
I'm gonna have to put her down here. This is a point blank shot.
Okay. Oh boy.
It misses somehow.
And
Critical
This is absolutely
failure.
absurd. I might genuinely buy another web camera for a
Oh,
dice roller. This is absurd.
All right, Album, hold still.
So you go to shoot at her as she's lunging forward to bite his shin, and he kicks her head out of the way right as you pull the trigger, and the bullet goes right into his shin. Roll damage. Album takes that damage as you shoot him in the leg.
Watch, it's gonna be a 10. Take me to -1.
It's not lethal. Oh, it's just one.
It's just one. It's just one.
I saw the,
It's
I saw
just
the
a
one was
graze.
about to just log off.
It grazed
Oh,
you.
so good. Oh, hey, Too Old to Twitch. It's a doozy tonight. They're just this old.
Nothing
it's
can
not
go
even old.
right.
Yeah, this is crazy. We're in combat. It's hilarious. Okay, so that was Michelle. That was Vessel. Fawn, it's your turn. You now have a heavy thing in your hand.
I'm gonna hit her upside the head with it.
Okay, go
Move
ahead.
it if I need to, and hit her with
That's
it.
fine. Go ahead and roll that, and I'll say.
What am I rolling for that?
Yeah, and I'll say
First time I'm actually rolling.
I'll say since you're just looking to smash her with it, and you're not looking to like get her hands in handcuffs, I'll give you like a +20 on this, and we'll say what is this? I mean, it's not unarmed because you're not technically unarmed.
melee weapon.
Yeah, roll melee weapons, sure.
Sorry, I forgot to add the +20.
So
I still would have failed.
You still miss, but you don't hit anybody. You just smash down. That elephant in your hand just cracks a little bit, but stays mostly intact. So you could probably swing it again.
Damn it.
And then it goes to Album. You just got shot by Vessel. You have a tomahawk in your hands. You're gonna hit him with it, I assume, right? Go ahead, roll to hit Vessel.
I don't have to do a con save or anything.
No, you're not
Assuming
stunned. You only got hit by one. It's only if you take more than half of your, or equal to or more than half your health.
I wasn't sure if guns are different. Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna hit her with the tomahawk and miss.
Since you're just hitting her and she's on the ground now, +20, like I just said.
Oh
I
no,
missed.
you missed
Are
it
you
by
kidding me?
one.
Yeah, can I just hit myself with the tomahawk?
Yeah, you might miss.
She is
My
like,
life. Just go get a tomahawk.
she is like 1980s breakdancing right now, like just moving around, dodging everybody. This is crazy. She does have to roll her con. That's a fail. She remains stunned. Vessel, it's your turn.
There's that at least.
This is in fact the most unexpected boss fight. This is insane.
I'll see if I can get Album to pass me the tomahawk, and I'll just chop down on her.
Sure, that's fine. Go ahead and do that.
Here we go. We got a hit.
There you go.
What's the damage on it?
1d8.
D8.
I rolled an 8 with it before, which is great.
Oh!
Oh!
8.
You kill her. You just whoosh right down into her forehead.
Finally.
And her head just cracks open, and she just looks up at you. And just like her legs shiver a bit. And they continue to shiver for a lot longer than you would have expected. And then finally she comes to a stop, and she is most certainly dead.
Oh, thank goodness.
So I think we have to do, this is the first time we've had to do this before, but I think it's, you killed somebody, which means it's a sanity thing.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Anyway, what are you guys doing? I'll look up that rule. You guys talk amongst yourselves. I gotta look
we
it up
gotta
again.
stabilize Fawn over here. She's bleeding all over the place.
I have
That's a thing.
no first aid skill or medicine skill, so
Can you just
Hopefully you
grab
have
like a towel from the kitchen or something just to
I mean I can limp that way certainly.
grab one for yourself?
Oh,
Yeah, she was very protective of her books.
yeah, and so Album coming back with blood or just something to soak up blood will say, well, I found that book that Chelsea was talking about. Threw
Oh,
it
yeah.
in the hallway in case she saw me with it and freaked out more. Hopefully it's still there and didn't dissolve into another dimension.
Yeah, we probably want to get that. I'm really curious to look inside of it.
We'll say, just for ease, at this point, I would say you're back into the main building, Agent Chelsea, and you hear like the sounds of gunshots firing above you. You go hustling up the stairs, or do you just run away out into the night?
Well, I want to make sure what's his face is trapped in the basement first.
Oh, okay, yeah. How would you like to go about doing that?
I just want to see if there's something I can use from the inside of the basement, so when I close the doors, I can like
Broom handle through the door handles.
yeah, maybe something preferably metal.
Yeah, I think that's fine. You could probably find, like a Well, something metal. Roll search to see if you can find something metal.
Failure.
Okay, you can't find anything metal, but you do find like some brooms and stuff. They've got like wooden shafts and everything, so it's not that great. But
I'll put a couple wooden dowels in between the door handles. Broom shafts.
oh, you know what? I think I put the GM screen in my foundry.
Fawn also wants to look for a word processing device. Since that was just mentioned from Karum's apartment, Fawn wants to see if Van Fitz has a word processing device.
Okay, yeah, you spend a moment looking around, and you do not see any sort of device. Is anybody tending to you as you have been bleeding? Like, did I miss that when I was looking for things? I'm sorry, I'm still looking.
Yeah, call it
I
out
got
in
a
the
kitchen
beginning.
towel.
Okay, all right. So you are. It is a hell of a damage you took. You took 8 points of damage to your shoulder, and your face has been
Plus
carved
even
up.
more.
Your eyes look terrible. You look absolutely awful right now. It just looks like someone has scraped crevices underneath your eyes into your cheeks. But you're gonna need most likely some kind of medical attention to that shoulder at some point. But you can probably push through for now. But as you're looking around, you do not notice any signs of a word processing document.
Is there anything in here that's not books?
You really only notice like it's really the only things that really kind of catches your eyes are just this immense amount of books. There's a couple of pictures and stuff. Like there's like one picture of her on the wall. It looks like when she was younger, but it doesn't really look like there's like it's not like the other apartments where you've seen like lots of electronic equipment or where you've seen like a bunch of trash on the ground. It's relatively tidy, neat. It's certainly got its own amount of stuff in here, but it's like it's kind of organized in some way. But there's lots of books in here. I'll tell you what. Go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll a search.
Another crit fail for me.
Oh my gosh.
All right. I think you're dead. I think you just lose track of where
oh
you
my
are.
god, there's so many books. There's
What
so
are we
many
here
books.
for again?
Who am I? I turn around and I just start firing. Okay. Yeah, it's just, you start looking around, but yeah, okay, finally found it. Inflicting violence. You killed somebody in defense of oneself or another. So roll sanity. This is for long specific.
Yep.
Okay. Roll a d4 and take that much amount of sanity loss from violence.
Before.
Sorry, that took so long to find.
4.
I'm not used to using. Okay, so go ahead and take 4. Wow.
Oof.
How does that put you?
Let's see.
Near breaking point or anything?
If it matches my breaking point, is that where it breaks, or did that just go below it?
I think it has to hit it, right? That's why it's.
Yeah, if it matches it, you
That's
break, because
the
that's what
breaking
happened to me.
Okay. What does this look like, Vessel? You just killed a woman, pretty violently,
Okay.
mind you.
Just realizing what I had to do. I just dropped everything what I'm holding on to. I just start freaking out. Like I just killed her. She was probably innocent. It's probably like now it's putting like a guilty conscience on me.
Okay. All right. Do you stay in the apartment, or do you just sort of like wander out into the hall? Like, do you still carry the tomahawk with you, or do you just leave it on the ground?
Yeah, maybe I'll have like a death grip on it because it was the last thing I had, and I'll walk out.
Okay. So you guys, the three of you, just watch him, or the two of you, I should say, because Chelsea's not here yet. But you just walk out into the hallway, and there you are, and you're looking down on the ground. Did anybody go and pick? Did you go and pick it up, Album? I'm sorry, I was looking up a rule, so I kind of half heard what people were doing in the aftermath.
Yeah, I just said that I had thrown it out there, and then I had mentioned it to Fawn after we got like towels or whatever to like for our wounds. We were
Okay.
talking about the book, so
Okay.
if we're able to get it, yes.
Well, so I'll say you watch Vessel go out, and Vessel, you're standing in the middle of the hallway, looking down on the ground, and you see the book, and your hands are shaking from what just happened. You've been in combat before, like you've shot people before, but there was like a visceral feeling to it all, and like it was just so up close and brutal as you just smashed into her head with some antique tomahawk of all things. Album, when you peek out, you notice him doing this, and you see the book is still on the ground. Hey Adam, how's it going, man? Chelsea, you're able to get a handful of these like mops and brooms and stuff. You barricade the door to the basement, keeping Thomas Manuel in that basement. What do you do after that?
I heard gunshots, so probably head upstairs to see our inside to see if everybody's okay.
Okay. Eventually, you're going to get up there, and we'll say you get up to the first floor, and it's at this time you see Album with a towel, kind of, or something. He's kind of limping. He's tied what looks like a bath towel around his shin. You see Vessel with a tomahawk in his hand, blood dripping onto the carpet, his arm covered in blood, his shirt covered in blood. He just looks kind of got this faraway look in his eyes, and there's a red book on the ground that the two of them are staring at.
Chelsea's gonna kind of go into what I call like mom friend mode, and so she's gonna determine Album looks okay-ish enough. Vessel looks like he's having some issues, so she's gonna snatch the book up and put it like in her like coat pocket or whatever, and then she's gonna like grab she had like a scarf or something on, so she's gonna take her scarf off, grab the tomahawk with the scarf so I'm not necessarily getting blood on my hands, and like just wrapping it up and also just throwing that in my book bag. And
when she comes up to me, she startles me, so I turn and hold it up to look like I'm swinging, and then I'll snap out of it. Like, oh, it's just you, Chelsea.
Roll Bailey combat.
And Chelsea's just like, so where's Fawn?
Fawn, inside, you are going through her thing. You're going through Michelle Van Fitz's things. There are thousands of books that are just kind of calling to you from through that archway, and there's others that are just in her regular apartment as well. One catches your eye as you're looking around. You just happen to notice something. And it's you specifically that this would call out to you. You see a book that has, it's like as you're passing by a table, you can see that there's a small shelf on the wall that just so happens to have a couple books on them, and it looks historical. It's kind of got that big heavy spine to it, almost like a textbook in a way. It looks a little older, but it nonetheless like seems in relatively good condition. You pull it down, you look inside, and you notice that, curiously, you think back to your time with Castaigne when you were in Castaigne's apartment, and the title of the book, as you flip it open, says A History of the Russo-Germanic Let me try that again. Take two. A History of the Russo-Germanic Hegemony, 1911 to 1921.
Okay.
And it's not like a Stephen King The Stand book, but it's not too thick, but it's a sort of fairly big. You flip it open, there's tons of there's like tons of photos in it. There's no author listed. It would take some time, obviously, to read through it, but like it absolutely catches your attention, and immediately, because of your time spent in Castaigne's apartment, like that's why it sort of caught your peripheral vision. And it's at this point that the rest of them step into the room, and you see Vessel doesn't look too great, looks a little bit out of it. Album is limping, but seems to be okay. And then there is Chelsea.
What time is it, Jeff?
I mean, at this point, we're midnight-ish.
Okay.
Chelsea, did you see the book? It's the one you've been looking for.
Yep. We're gonna read that later. I definitely think I locked in the basement.
Thomas. Yeah.
Yep. And and I definitely think this place we should get out and try and do what we said we were gonna do, because hopefully it'll catch fire on those upper floors. Maybe.
You sure you want to take the book with us? Shouldn't we destroy it with everything else? Isn't it not a good book?
We may want to study it. We can always destroy it, but if we destroy it, we can't study it.
True.
Okay,
We
as
need
long
to
as we're sure we're not
determine-
taking anything with us.
Yeah. As Chelsea has the book in the word processor.
I will say that at some point when you were going down to the basement, you can always have gone back to like the van or to
Yeah,
one of your
I
rental
put it out
cars to
there.
put the word processor inside of
Yeah.
it. So that's perfectly fine. Are you guys looking at all around any more around the apartment? Anything
I
else?
want to see if there's anything else, because I just had this book that kind of got my attention, and I know we're about to blow things up, so I definitely want to look for anything else to take out before we do that.
Okay. Roll a search. If there's is there something specific you're looking for? Otherwise, just roll a search.
Yeah, I'll just roll a search.
Okay.
Yeah, I failed. I've got a low search.
Okay.
Can Chelsea do a cursory look?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, also 69. Nice.
I suck at searching.
We're just looking at everything tonight.
Yeah.
Are either of you guys interested, Vessel or Album, in looking around for anything?
I had already done my search roll in her apartment. That's how I found the little red book.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Then Vessel, were you?
No, I'm ready to get rid of this place.
Okay. Okay.
He's scarred.
All right.
I'm actually physically scarred, but
Chelsea's gonna help Fawn down to the car.
Okay.
Yeah, I was about to say, in the supplies that we were given for our FBI cover, was there a first aid kit in any of that stuff?
Absolutely. I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. There is one book, even though you guys failed, that does catch your eye in addition. And it's only because as you're kind of flipping through it, and like there's a lot of stuff. There's so many different things. There's books on poetry. There's reference books. There's like ancient thesauri or dictionaries and such. And it's just you're doing this quickly, right? So you're just going really fast and really fast and really fast. And so unless something really pops, you're not even really paying the time of day. If this was like take your time, blah blah, then maybe it's different. But you do notice one thing because the name catches your attention. We'll say Fawn and Chelsea notice it because they're the ones searching. You notice a book. It's not the title of the book, but it's the author. You find a book called A World Without Doors by Emmeline F. Fitzroy. And you recognize the name Fitzroy. Do you remember where it's from?
one of the rich families from Chicago.
Exactly. You remember that there was a building called the Bellafleur House in Chicago. That was one of the thought houses that were built by Isidore Bondi, the Picasso of architecture, and the Fitzroy family lived in there. But yeah, you find this book, A World Without Doors. It's hardcover. This one does actually have the name of the author, obviously, but it also has the name of a publisher, Torbit Books. The cover is actually, I think I can show you it. I think I have a copy of it. But basically, it looks like this imposing palace that's like over top of a city. Let me see if I have a copy of that. Oh, I do. I can show that to all. All right, should pop up in a second. But yeah, you see this kind of palace tower. It's inverted and it's hanging above a city, and the city is just filled with buildings that just look like they have just windows, no doors. Again, it would take some time to read it. But that's what you see at quick glance first. Hey, Justin, that is Ashley's 4th grade picture. So try to be more understanding and not so rude.
I definitely take this book with me
All right,
for
so
future reading.
so you've got A World Without Doors, and you have the history book as well.
Yep.
And it's at this point The four of you leave. Michelle Van Fitz's body bleeding, dead in the hallways or in the book stacks.
Mm-hmm.
Close the door as best you can. Remember the handle's busted. Okay. Now what are you guys doing?
Grabbing. Did we grab all of our stuff out of her apartment? Is her apartment emptied of everything it needs to be?
Whose apartment? I'm sorry.
Abigail's.
Where we were set up, like all of our. 'cause
Oh,
we
you
have
want to
a
grab
box
your
of-
the evidence bags, the
Yeah.
folders, etc. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You can do that.
Grab all of that stuff out.
There's still evidence on the walls that you haven't taken down and cataloged, but the stuff that you have taken that hasn't disappeared on you, and the evidence bags stuff, yeah, you have all that.
Yeah, just photographed the rest of it to the best of our ability.
Okay.
Which we've already photographed it, so I'm not worried
Exactly.
about doing that right now.
It's more about
Yeah,
breaking it down and looking at stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Can't blow up the building and take everything off the walls, so we're going with the blow up the building.
Okay. So you guys are leaving. So walk me through how this is going to work.
It's gonna look perfectly cinematic, where we're looking like cool people walking out. With the
I
big
mean, I want to
explosion
know.
behind
I
us.
want to know what's your process here. I need it to just walk me through how this is going to work. Vessel has already done a bang up job. Absolutely
all the wrong places.
pinpointed where to place all the explosive devices that were ingeniously created by Agent Album, in places where it's not going to create explosive fallout that could lead towards other buildings on the block. It's definitely not going to do that. So you're very confident. Well, my question is like, you guys are leaving the building. I doubt that remote detonator has an incredibly long range, so you have to stay within some distance.
We're watching from the Volkswagen, right? Prime viewing space.
Okay.
I was gonna say we could all pile into the van, and then that'll be when Album's like, "Are we gonna get hit by any debris in here?"
Well, you made it explosive, so you would probably feel pretty confident at this point that as long as he placed him correctly, intelligently, there's probably not going to be any severe fall. It's just going to almost just look like something happened. Maybe somebody left the gas on or something. Okay. I know that one of you has like a rental car too. So assuming one of you is in a rental car and then the rest of you are in the van. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think Vessel had the rental car.
And there's still people. Manuel's in the basement. Everybody else is up. So you leave him in there. You head over to your van, which you've kept parked in an alleyway down the street the whole time you've been here, except when you were going around driving and shopping. So you can
While I'm walking to the van, is there anybody out right now? Do I see anybody looking out the window, or anybody just walking around, or anything?
12 o'clock on a Sunday. Roll
know.
a luck test.
Okay, I gotta move all this. There we go. I don't know what I'm supposed to roll on the luck test.
Slow.
It's a 50-50, so 1 to 50 is a pass,
Oh, okay.
and 51 to 100 is...
Yeah, it's exactly what I expect. I just expect we're all going to go to prison now.
You,
Like we failed every roll.
Yeah, you look at... You mean, like, you guys were kind of hurrying a little bit out of the building. You're hurt, etc. Looking around. Yeah, you don't think you see anybody.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to activate it then, I guess. And I have nothing else I can do.
Okay. So, as the four of you are down the street in the alleyway, peeking out so you can kind of see what you're doing, you flip open the little remote detonator, whatever it is, and you hit the button. There's like a second, maybe 2 seconds worth of hesitation, and then suddenly, as the McAllister building explodes in a fiery inferno that cascades not just out into the street, blowing brick and metal and wood, cascading debris all across the street, but also sideways into other brownstones as you see the neighboring buildings suddenly catch fire, but also walls crumbling inward. You see the brownstone building that's right next to McAllister. Suddenly it starts to tip off to its side just ever so slightly and then collapses downward on itself. You can see that as like seconds after you click the button, you see like what looks like a couple people on the street just walking suddenly past. You didn't see them, they were in the dark, and as the explosion goes off, the fire that erupts from the building just encompasses them. And after which is a couple seconds, suddenly the entire block, which had been relatively dark before, is alit with orange red flame. Smoke is everywhere. It looks like a war zone all of a sudden. I think all of you should roll sanity for the overly intense explosion.
Fail.
Crit success.
Oh, very nice. Acceptable collateral damage. You took out another building. Another one's on fire. Oh, we just lost. I think we just lost Melissa. Okay, I think she's coming back in. We lost her video, I think it looks like.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can fix this. There we go. Okay, I will go ahead and roll hers. So it looks like I got failure, failure, critical success, and then for Fawn, also a fail. So each one of you failed. Roll a d4. And take that amount of sanity. And then Fawn will take 2 points, which will put her... All right, she did not hit a breaking point. Oh, we lost her completely.
Oh.
All right. Give us 1 second, folks. We're going to put us on the... I'm going to put on the stream, the stream starting soon screen. I'm just going to check on what's going on with her. Just give us... We'll be back in like 2-3 minutes. Okay, I think we're back. Just got to switch Derek and Melissa really fast. And we're good to go. Sorry about that little internet connection issue, but we are back. So, Melissa, while you were disconnecting, everyone was rolling sanity as the explosion of the McAllister building was far bigger than Album had intended with his explosives. And clearly, this was a case of somebody putting the bombs in the wrong place. And another brownstone got hit, crumbled, and then fell. I already rolled it for you. You failed, and you took 2 points of sanity. But I don't know if I didn't put them in, so you should be at 45 sand.
Got it.
And we'll say that violence. We'll say that was from violence. If anybody is specifically adapted to violence, you can go ahead and ignore those, or you can do your checks if you took sanity and are getting are closer to being able to get that adaptation. So right now, resetting the scene, 3 of you, the panic setting in here, like, holy shit, that explosion was way bigger than we meant to do. It's going to be very hard. Like, what do you do? There's, like, you can already hear sirens in the distance. FDNY is on its way. NYPD on its way. There was just a massive explosion on a street in Manhattan. What do you do?
So Album's going to turn to everybody and say, we have 2 options. We can either run and hope that our vehicles don't get spotted or noticed with fire damage or possible dents from the debris, or we can stay here. And Album's like, I have a start of a story that we could all stick to. What do you all want to do?
You guys can't stay here. You guys are covered in blood and shit.
Yes. And Album's going to say, I don't know how much time I have, but if we decide to stay, we can pin this on Michelle Van Fitz, since she was not coherent. She flew into a rage and attacked Fawn and all of us, really. And so we could just say we rushed her out here to do medical attention, and then the building exploded. So all we were doing was questioning her about stuff, entered her apartment. She did not like when I touched a book, and flew into a rage and hit us with a tomahawk. But we got to decide if we want to leave or stay.
Fawn's going to do a quick look around to see if there are explosive making items in the van.
Explosive making items in the van.
He made them in the van.
I know. That's why I'm looking to see if there's any remnants of that process. Like, do I look around. Do I see wires or
there's not going to be
containers or
there's not going to be like a how to make explosives book, but there's definitely like the component parts, like the residue of the component parts, bags of this and that. Like, yeah, that's in here for sure. Like, it's still here. Like,
Chelsea's gonna, because I had the tomahawk and stuff on me, I'm gonna leave them in the car, and I'm gonna get out of the car and start walking towards the building to wait for the cops to arrive.
No, you can't. It's blown up. There's fire everywhere.
I don't mean like
there's
in the
people
building.
rolling around on the street having just gotten caught up in the blaze of the inferno as it exploded out, where there's like 2 innocent bystanders that are just burning and out on the street. Like, imagine this is a war zone. The air itself is just smoke and debris is just kind of cascading everywhere. Just seeing stuff is difficult.
I think my vote is that we leave, because even if we say this was official, we did not do it the right way.
Okay, so then if we leave, is there any way we could use, I guess, Vessel's or Chelsea's like police experience to know which roads would be the best to take out if police response is on the way? Like, we want to go down a road that's not going to have a bunch of cop cars flying up it, just so we don't draw attention to our potentially damaged vehicles.
Yeah, I can point out a route that, since I know the offices are around this location, be like, let's take this road.
And I used to live here, so I can help with that too.
Okay. Fawn, you lived in New York. Vessel, and I would say Vessel, you probably have the most law enforcement experience. Chelsea, I think your FBI experience comes kind of more diplomatically as opposed to,
like
you know what I mean? Yeah. Or yeah, even that. Sorry. Okay.
Is there like assisting in this, or is it just like?
What I'll say, what you can roll is. First, I want. Are you guys in the same vehicle? Because there is a rental vehicle, like just a basic sedan that you guys have, and there's the Volkswagen bus. So, are you guys leaving in both cars? Are you leaving one car behind figure that out?
I'll take my rental.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my van since that's in my name.
Okay.
Should we just split up then, and I'll go with Vessel?
Yeah, I'll say I was in the van.
Okay. So Vessel and Chelsea are in the rental. Album and Fawn are in the Volkswagen bus, and you're driving away. Are you establishing a meetup point before you leave? And again, those sirens are getting closer. You're hearing them. You've got 45 seconds.
We've
baby,
got
before
hotel
they're
rooms,
here.
so I think we can just
No,
leave.
like next state over.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. So you're specifically telling the next day, or if you guys are going to like Connecticut or Jersey or something?
Yeah, like I have Album's phone number, and we'll call him
Okay.
and tell him where to meet up.
Okay. So you just say, just leave New York is what you're saying. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Whoever's driving in both cars, go ahead and roll a drive test as you start to leave the scene of this massive explosion. The White Castle in Jersey. That's a great idea, Galen.
Failed.
Oh, God.
Also failed.
Okay. Jeez, guys. On the bright side, all these failed rolls means increased skills, right? So don't forget to check those
I
things.
roll another one on my d4 at the end.
Okay.
I'll get there.
So, you guys drive away from the scene of this crime, this massive situation that's going down, and you begin to try to head out of the borough, out of the city, out of the borough, out of the city, out of the state. Was it Connecticut? Was it Jersey? Where specifically do you want to try to drive to? Does it matter?
Going to Jersey.
Okay. You guys are going to Jersey, so I'm going to do a quick Manhattan to New Jersey to see, because I don't know the roads that well. It's been a long time. Okay. So yeah, you guys get on 95 and you start heading south. It's Sunday, midnight. Roads aren't that, like the roads are not horribly crowded at this point. It's still the Northeast, is still New York, so there's still cars on the road, obviously, but like it's not like it's noon on a Wednesday. And you begin your drive south. About 45 minutes into the drive, Album, your phone rings.
Well, there's no laws yet, so I answer it.
You hear Agent Album, is that you? You there? You there? It's Detective G. Oh, thank God, you're okay. Oh God, I was so worried. Oh my goodness. Listen, are you watching the news? Are you?
Afraid not. I'm not near a television. What's wrong?
There's been some kind of accident that something happened. I don't know what the hell. The McAllister building. It's Listen, I'm gonna need you, and I'm gonna need. Can you round? Are you with the rest of your team?
No, I'm not with them at the moment.
Can you get in touch with them? You're the only one I got a number for.
Okay. I can try to. What message do you want me to pass along?
I'm gonna need you and your team to. You gotta get down here to the precinct. The building's gone, man. It's I don't know. Oh God, I was worried. You guys might be inside of it. It's just fucking gone. Like the whole. Just yeah.
Like, just disappeared? What do you mean?
Like it fucking exploded, man. Like it took out like another building. There's dozens of dead, man. The NYPD, FDNY, they're on the scene. We don't really know the whole details yet. But you guys are, FBI consultants. We're gonna need you to get. Yeah, you got to come down here. You got to let us know. We got to take your statement. We got to know what the hell you saw, who you talked to. Something happened. We're gonna need you to come in. Listen, I can't. I got things. I got this is going.
Yeah. You take care of your stuff. I'll see if I can reach the other team. No worries.
Okay. Just as soon as you get this is ASAP, man. But bombs don't just fucking go off in the middle of Manhattan. Okay. We just something fucking happened. 2 fucking buildings are in rubble, and New York is dead. Okay. So let's go.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right. Okay. So he gets off the phone.
Album hangs up the phone and just is like really on edge, and he just looks at Fawn and he's like, so Giordani wants us down at the precincts to give statements. Just told me what happened to the McAllister building and wants me to contact all of you. I have no idea what to do.
Alan, it's just me.
If we go down there and he sees my leg and your shoulder, like, we're either gonna have to bandage up really, really, really well and hope no blood leaks out, and I'm gonna have to do my best not to limp, which the dice will not allow to happen. So I'm not even or we just don't show up, and that's gonna be even more suspicious. There's no good options in my calculation of this.
No, I think the only thing we could have done is said that we were just around the corner from it and got caught in it, but that would require us trying to pass these wounds off as being part of the explosion.
Yeah, I don't think a gunshot wound would
So
be.
you got mugged.
I got
Because
shot in the leg.
Yeah.
Because it was only a 1, does it look like a gunshot wound, or is it just kind of a graze that could have been like any projectile, possibly?
Like on his
It
shin,
only
you mean?
do 1 point of damage.
It only did 1 point of damage. It's a graze. I would say probably under careful, like, medical forensic examination. If it ever got that far, they could probably determine it would be a gunshot graze. But if someone was just doing a quick glance, it could be any kind of abrasion. It depends on how carefully they look.
Okay. And so Almal also mentioned, he said get there ASAP, but I told him I didn't know what any of you were up to, so obviously we could still have time to figure out what we want to do, but I don't know what to do, Fawn. Also, Alvin turns and looks in the back of his van, and he's like, we need to stop by several different dumpsters off several random exits.
Okay. Chelsea.
Do we have like a pager for Chelsea or Vessel?
I don't think either of them defined anything early. I think Albin was the only one who actually had a defined piece of equipment. So Chelsea and Vessel, do you guys? I'm assuming when you guys drove away, you guys said you were splitting up, but then you were meeting south. But eventually, you kind of got on the same highway. Like you said, you were going to call them on Album's phone to establish a meeting point. So it's about an hour and 45 minutes to 2 hours to get to Jersey from where you guys were, according to 2021 Google search. We're going to say that's relatively accurate even now at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday. How long do you wait to pull over and call them? And where do you pull over and call?
Wait, we don't know this, do we?
You don't know. You have not gotten the call. So just think independent of that.
I would say, like, maybe like an hour out, we'd like pull over someplace, like either look for a payphone or check into like a super cheap like motel and then call from there.
Well, an hour out isn't out of the state. Like we were saying, getting into New Jersey basically is like an hour and 45 minutes or so. So an hour.
But I mean, just to check in to set our meeting point of where.
But you just said you're going to check into a motel an hour out, and then you were going to drive 40.
If just to use the phone, like if like we couldn't find like a payphone or something.
Or maybe like a rest area. I'm sure.
It's
like
1995. You'll be able to find payphones. Yeah. Okay, but when you say check in, like, are you literally checking into a motel?
No, I meant like one of those, like, you know, the bow chicka bow wow ones where it's just like you pay by the hour.
Okay.
We don't need that, right? We're trying to leave the state.
No, yeah.
Well,
so if
yeah,
you're
but I
just
meant
so there's
the
payphones.
phone.
So there's a payphone available, so you could stop, call me, and say,
Yeah.
hey, meet at this place in this state, in this part of the state. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was thinking.
So, all right.
Finding a phone.
All right. Let's see. New York. I'm looking at a map right now of New York and Jersey. You guys get on 95. Actually, you wouldn't even have gotten on 95. Sorry, I'm getting caught up in highway traffic now.
You're gonna drive for an hour and find a phone. and
Someone
call
went up to
us.
295, took the 295 over to Hackensack. Went north. One of you went south through Brooklyn, went over the 278. Sure. and we'll say you find, you know that there's a Newark Liberty Airport that you could probably get to within an hour or so. You're hoping to drive somewhat elusively, we'll say. And so we'll say somewhere near there, you pull over, you find a kind of grimy looking place, which shouldn't be too hard. It's Jersey. Sorry, I'm just kidding. I'm not. But
You should be.
No, I shouldn't. But you call, you get Album on the phone. Album, this is after the conversation you just had. Maybe half an hour after the conversation you just had with Giordanda.
Yeah.
And-
So Album will fill Chelsea or whoever was the one on the phone in about what they want from us and that they told us what happened.
Well, I mean, we need to get.
Tell me we don't know him.
We just... Jeff, how long would it be since we talked to Giordanda last?
He said about half an hour after I got the call from
About
him.
half an hour after you had the call.
No, I
So-
mean, like, we talked to him like 3 hours ago,
Don't
earlier in the
know
day.
him. He's stupid. He called earlier that day because remember
that's what I was
he called early. He called late morning Sunday because Ian Langford had showed up at their precinct and was giving them fits about his brother. We're gonna say you guys, Vessel and Chelsea, end up somewhere in Elizabethport at a White Castle. And you're calling Album and Fawn, who are driving somewhere in Jersey around the airport. What do you want to do? I actually looked this up, Galen. There is one. I don't know if it was there in 1995, but there is a White Castle on Park Avenue on the State Road 9. Yeah. Okay. So what do you guys want to do? You're on the phone. Talk.
I have no idea how to approach this, Chelsea, but they want us to. He wants us to come back, give a statement, probably talk about what we had found, what we in our investigation, what we had cataloged, all the stuff.
I mean,
Is this something Delta Green can cover up, or is just like we have to deal with it?
I mean, depends to a certain degree. It's kind of on you, but yeah, I mean, like you had with Langford, there are times in which you can call into Delta Green and like requisition certain services or certain equipment. Two buildings on a street block in New York just got destroyed by a massive explosion. Not sure that's something they could they can't necessarily cover that up, but in terms of like covering your identities up, like, I mean, a lot of that's already kind of done. Like, you could potentially leave. There is a trail. You know, it's just a question of how big of a trail you guys left in terms of how this gets back to you guys.
Yeah, because if our identities are hidden, they would have no idea who we are
yeah, mine's
if we just
not.
dipped.
That's the question at the beginning of the episode.
Yep. I mean, how about you stay here? They'll come and pick you up, and you guys disappear, and I'll head back. And then Vessel, you were still in the building, so you're dead.
Oh,
And if they find no one,
And if they what?
if they find no one that resembles me,
Well, I mean, that's last I knew you were in the apartment.
the cover story emerges.
Do you guys meet up at the White Castle, or do you continue to just do this conversation on the phone?
Are you guys like heading over here or what?
Well, yeah, you told us to meet up, so I'm still driving and heading over. I've had to make a couple of stops. Also, when I was stopping to get rid of bits and pieces, it was my van like super dinged up in this.
No, because yours was in an alleyway, a couple buildings down, so like you weren't parked right out in front of the building.
Okay.
Likely the rental was probably more damaged because that was actually parked out on the street.
So then, Alvin will say to Chelsea, like, look, like, my all of my information, my phone, everything I pay for is in a different name. I can probably call Delta Green and have them dispose of my van. Like, I should be able to disappear simply enough. If you want to play where Vessel was in the explosion, we could do that, but that still leaves you, and that still leaves Fawn.
Fawn, do you want to head back to me and we'll help investigate the area? And then when you call them, have them do a recall of us to have us leave. Like,
Yeah, I
say
mean,
there's a more important mission we need to go and assist with.
Yeah, and I was thinking that maybe, it's fine to say that, I was getting medical attention, so that's why there was a delay in us, getting back.
Yeah.
So we're saying that we were kind of in the area close by, and that's how I got my injury.
Okay, yeah. That sounds good. So we'll take the beat up rental car.
All right, I'm gonna ditch this rental and I'm gonna take a plane ride home.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Go ahead and there's actually a roll for the whole like airport thingy. Is it bureaucracy? It might just be a bureaucracy roll, just to see if you can. Do you have your own money?
Yeah, I should have some extra
Okay.
change.
All right. You're looking for a flight out of Newark,
Yeah.
getting to Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
Do you care
Maybe
about?
like,
Do you
no,
care
maybe
about?
like a couple stops?
Okay, so you're looking. You're not looking for a direct flight. You're looking for
Yeah.
multiple. Okay, and you maybe you're not actually getting a flight to Vegas. You're just getting to a flight to one place and then to another.
Then like maybe taxi over somewhere else.
Okay, roll a luck test to see how long you wait. Okay,
Success.
all right. There's a red eye apparently that you're able to hop on, heading out to Chicago, and you're just you're not that far from the airport. You bid your goodbyes to the team and you just get the hell out. Do you say anything when you leave? Again, you guys were on the phone, you said? Everyone was on the phone. Like,
Well, I was with Bethel.
I know.
We drove back. We
Okay.
met with them.
Yeah.
So you guys did meet up. So we did have a White Castle reunion.
Yes.
All
Where
right.
we're all sitting there having our last meal.
Okay. And you guys are inside the White Castle?
No,
No,
no.
I'm kidding.
Okay.
I have a kitchen towel around my
Yeah, because at a
neck.
certain
I'm not
point,
inside.
I even think a New Jersey, like 1 o'clock in the morning shift White Castle is probably going to be like, what the hell? Why do you have? Okay, so you're just meeting out in the parking lot of the White Castle, and you're talking this out. And Vessel, you decide you're out, you're done. Like, I got.
Yeah, the job's done, you guys. It's been
Okay.
a pleasure.
And he leaves. You just start walking away.
I'm gonna kind of go over and kind of pat him on the shoulder. Since kind of I've done this before, like I have got a little bit more of kind of the veteran with these missions than he does. I'll just kind of pat him on the shoulder and just say like, find somebody to talk to. And get your head right.
Thanks. I'll be fine.
Okay. All right. Off he goes. What are the three of you doing then? Vessel, you head to the airport and you buy a ticket to Chicago, leaving soon, so you don't have to wait around too long, but you do wait around for a bit. What about the three of you? What are you doing?
Alvin will kind of look at everybody and just like say like, well, I got to go back to where I belong or where I live and go back into my who I am. I can get rid of the van. I can get rid of the phone. That stuff won't be tracked back to me. So I'm gonna make a call to Delta to have them dispose of this phone and this vehicle, and I'll probably just take a taxi back to where I need to go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the phone you could just break and throw into a lake or something somewhere, whatever.
True.
Okay. Okay. So you wanna see if you can get Delta Green to dispose of the vehicle?
Yeah.
Okay.
We could just burn that in a desert somewhere.
I don't know if there's any deserts in the East Coast.
Just drive to Arizona.
Yeah.
You'll be
I
there
guess
in a
I
day and a
could
half.
do that.
You could, or you can, if you want to try to get Delta Green, someone to do this for you, or like a chop shop of something like that, if that's what you're trying to get to.
Yeah, I feel like that'd be within reason for Delta Green. Just say like the job got done. this needs to be taken care of, and then I will go back to
Okay.
where you found me when you hired me for the job, kind of thing.
Okay, roll a bureaucracy test as you you try to contact Agent Marcus, your handler from the beginning.
Any bonuses or no?
I'm gonna say nothing.
Okay. I failed.
Oh
Okay.
no.
But at least you get to increase your bureaucracy then.
Oh boy, one whole
You
point.
get to, depends on your roll. It could be 4.
Not worth it. Now I've got to figure out how to do this thing.
Okay, so you go ahead and you call the number that Agent Marcus left you for contact, and he doesn't answer. That's not surprising. He does kind of he does sort of contact you on his own terms, but when you eventually kind of get a little antsy waiting around the White Castle, he still hasn't responded to you at any point. So you kind of get a little antsy leaving the vehicle out in the parking lot, like being here, and you start to think it's maybe up to you to take care of it at this point. Like it's just the expediency is probably more important than anything.
Okay, so then can I try a failed or not failed forensics or maybe criminology to see if I could like find a chop? I don't know anything.
You just muted yourself.
You muted yourself.
Sorry, I don't know anything about the crime world, but how do
Okay.
if I look for a chop shop, would that be some kind of role?
Yeah. I don't. Do you have any connections in New Jersey? I don't know if you have any
No,
connections. to
I'm
New
not
Jersey.
from here. I mean,
Um,
I guess I could literally drive to a desert and
yeah.
burn it down.
You could
I mean,
also
what-
just find a place. You could also just find a place to leave it and burn it down there, or you can just leave it and try to wipe it down. You can burn it down. Like I would say, Album's smart enough to know. I mean, like you knew enough to destroy a building with fire and explosives. You would know
Yeah.
that. Do the same thing with your vehicle. It's just a question of where you want to leave it. That's all.
Yeah, and I mean, I can let's see. Yeah, I could just continue to drive. Like I've got nothing but time, so I could just drive a few more states away and do my work there. So I could just be like, time to hit the dusty trail.
Okay. Get back in the Volkswagen bus. And you start heading southwest, I guess, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Fair
I
enough.
was really looking forward to an awkward conversation with you and a random mechanic to see if it was a chop shop.
Hey, is this a pop shop? You guys a fan of chop suey? Okay. So Vessel goes off to an airport. Album gets back in his bus and starts driving southwest, going where the wind takes him. Chelsea and Vaughn, what are you two doing? You've got this beaten up rental car.
I need actual medical attention so that the cover
Yeah.
story can be that I went and got medical attention.
Well,
I think the cover story will switch it. We got jumped because the car's kind of beat up, and Chelsea like punches out one of the windows.
why don't you roll a forensics first and see whether or not like the damage done to your car would be able to be
I don't have forensics.
I don't either.
I have criminology.
I'll say instead of forensics.
Before Album leaves, could he help with the forensics roll? So I've got a 40 in it, might as well.
Sure, go ahead. But you're just gonna fail it, so I don't know why.
Yeah, I know,
It's just
right?
gonna frustrate you for. Oh, hey.
Hey!
Okay, I would say yeah. At the
'Cause he
last, as you're out in the parking lot, you're getting into your car. You're looking down, or getting into the bus. And you're looking down at their car, and you just turn to them and you say you're driving west. And you're like you're gonna get rid of the car, and you say to them, and you probably want to do the same thing with that.
Shit. Okay.
Yeah, like there's like scorch marks and
Yeah, it was enveloped in fire. This
yeah,
happens.
like doesn't look good. But I do like the fact that Chelsea's just punching windows out.
She's just getting the stress out.
Okay,
So then, ooh,
you both get very drunk and sturdy as you were hanging out. Wait, was it an axe
The
throwing
story
club?
is we're hanging out at the local axe throwing
like it.
club. You just got a ricochet.
then maybe we'll have we needed this. Okay, so we're gonna drive somewhere and we're gonna like push the car into some water or something.
Okay. All right.
And then
One way
we're
to get
gonna
rid of the
call
vehicle.
Agent Girodonda,
Detective Giordanda.
Detective Girodonda,
Okay.
and
When you say into some water, what are we talking about? Are you
It's a community swimming pool.
I'm talking
just go down to
about
the Y really quick and drive into the G?
a large natural body of water.
I would like a slightly more specific information here. Are we talking about heading, east of the ocean, one of the bays, Newark?
What's closest?
From where you guys are at, Newark Bay is to your east. Oh God. Yeah, there's
Maybe we have the awkward chop shop conversation.
Hudson, right? That's a place.
this
Or,
is
like,
what
do we
happens
even
when none of
really
us are
need
from
to-
the New York.
Like, or what we can do is we can literally just like wipe the car down and then just like leave it. in the
Or
parking
you
lot.
could take it to a junkyard and just say, "Hey, I need this crushed."
Yes, I like that idea.
Okay, we'll
Let's
do
do
that
that
one then.
because I think rental cars are kind of trackable and like who rented them and stuff. So I like that idea.
Who did rent this? Was this Vessel? Was this
Vessel.
Vessel? You rented it, so it's under Agent whatever. What's Vessel's first name? What's your cover, Vessel?
Alex.
Alex
Alex
Vessel.
Vessel.
It's under Alex Vessel. Okay.
Who died in the building? There we
Okay.
go. We don't know where the keys are. You can never return it.
Galen says to set fire to it right there in the White Castle parking lot. No one will notice. Just put it up on blocks. Okay. All right. By the time you guys got to New Jersey, it was fairly late. Then you guys talked for a bit. So I'm gonna say it's like 4:00 in the morning. So on a Monday morning.
Monday.
So the two of you need to spend a little bit more time, like just kind of killing time until some one of these places opens up.
Would Agent Chelsea have any reason to have any contacts for something like this? I certainly wouldn't
For
have
what?
any reason to have a contact.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't think I would. Not in
Monday.
New York.
Just a Monday. Okay. Roll. Just roll int times 5. It's fine. Both of you can do it if you want.
You said int.
Yeah, int times fine. It's not hard to find you just.
Crit success.
There are
Ooh.
these things called phone books that we used to have that were usually attached to pay phones, and you could just flip
Yeah.
through them into the yellow pages, and you can find somewhere to go. Crit success, yeah, you find one. We'll say there's one not too far away. We'll say it's, you head south down Linden. I'm making shit up. But you find somewhere in Elizabethport or whatever, you find some kind of auto body shop. You show up first thing in the morning, 7 a.m. This kind of heavyset dude shows up, a little balding. He's got 2 women and some kind of big old Ford Taurus, and he gets out of his car. It's called, when he sees the 2 of you, sees your banged up car. He's like, "Hey, we're not open yet. 7:30. Can I help you with something?"
Yeah. My husband is going to kill me if he sees what happened to our car. And I was how much does it cost to like get rid of it?
Kind of looks at you. He's like, what do you mean?
Wait. We can pay whatever you need, but
You, like just compact it, you know?
yeah.
Just kind of
Just-
looking at you like, but
It's better if it's just gone.
roll persuasion.
And I'm gonna pull it. I'll say I've got some. I feel like in the 90s you
Oh
carried a
my.
little bit more cash on you.
Oh wow, critical! Did you critically succeed again?
No, I haven't rolled yet.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Oh, okay. I was about to say.
Oh no. And Fawn, you were trying to bribe him, so why don't
Yeah.
you can roll persuasion too? Yours is more for bribery, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
Yay.
And he kind of looks at you, Chelsea, and he's like, listen, very sorry for your domestic situation, but if your husband's like willing to, I don't want him coming here, or whatever. There's things we got to do. There's paperwork. This isn't just like, just come and dump anything here. Like we've got like a system and everything.
Are there places where you can do that though?
Kind of looks at you and he's like,
She says as she's like holding some money.
Mm-hmm.
for the right price, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, that's
I'll
a good
hand
starter.
over what I have and just say, "Are we close?"
No. Okay. How much would you say you carry on? How much would you say Fawn carries on herself, like cash wise?
A decent amount, because we were on a job, so she would make sure that she's got cash to not have a trail of like pulling money out of ATMs or anything like that. So I would say she would have a few $100s on her.
Okay.
Is this going to be like a Naked Gun scene where they're just passing 20s back and forth?
I'm gonna need a little bit more. I mean, we're talking in the thousands here. Like you got hundreds. I'm taking a big risk, I don't know. There's stuff here. There's 2 women showing up at my place of employment at like the morning of Monday, telling me they got to get rid of this car. Like with the cops come talking around, like sure I can do it for that amount of money. I can keep quiet about doing it for a hell of a lot more.
Chelsea will pull out whatever cash she has because she probably has like the same idea.
Okay.
And also give it.
Yeah, this is what we call in the business a good start. But unless you got more, there's probably an ATM. They were open all the time. Automation, right? It's a sweet thing. If you want to go ahead and over to one of them ATMs, get a little bit more, come back. Maybe we can do something.
Are we halfway there?
Halfway? Yeesh. Sure, halfway. Yeah, we'll say halfway. So, okay. So one of you or both of you go to an ATM. You get into your personal accounts. What? I'm trying to think for you guys. Let's see, you're a historian who works for the national parks, FBI. I'm sure both of you make a decent amount of money. Neither of you have families, like kids or anything like that, so you don't have any dependents.
No, I'm like the
Okay.
sugar mama aunt kind of thing.
So who's taking the money?
Chelsea will do it.
Okay. All right. So you're gonna take out, we'll say like $2,000.
Okay.
All right. And it's a kind of a process. You have to go through a bunch of confirmations with the ATM. Like, are you sure you want to remove this amount? That kind of stuff. But like two-factor authentication didn't exactly exist yet.
Mm-hmm.
So it does eventually like pop it out. Doof, 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 and you head back right as he's opening.
It's 2 different ATMs, just to be clear.
Oh, is
We're
it?
spreading out.
Okay.
Yes.
So
We're gonna use the same one.
you go to one ATM and Chelsea takes out 1,000, and then you go to a completely different ATM 15 minutes later and take out another 1,000. Sure, that's not going to at all look.
It shouldn't be
Oh.
me. It should be you.
I thought we were splitting the cost.
That's why I asked.
no,
Chelsea
no.
said
Two
she
of
was
us are
doing it.
pulling from. Oh, okay.
Okay. So each of you are going to take $1,000 out of your personal money. Okay. And you head back there between that $2,000, and we'll say you probably had another $1,000 or so on you, between the two of you, a couple hundred at least. So you're giving him like $2,500 or $3,000 to this guy to bribe him to get rid of your car and to keep quiet about it if anyone comes asking.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
make the deal, and he's like, well, this is gonna be a good week. I think this is gonna be a nice, good week. Usually they say Mondays. You get a case of the Mondays. If this is what Mondays are gonna be like, I just get this free $2,500 every Monday. Hey, I'm okay with it.
It's not free. You're doing a service.
Oh yeah. Doing the service. Yeah, I get you. Crushing a car. Yeah, I do it all the time. It's fun. You want to watch? I can show you. It's fine. You want to push the button? You can push the button if you want.
No thanks.
Thank you though.
Okay. So
And then
sure
Paul's
is the
gonna turn
same.
to Chelsea and say like, "How are we getting out of here?"
Man, did those title loan places exist back then? Were they popular? You could have pulled the ultimate scheme where you get a loan on the title, then use that money to crush the car, and you get away with no personal funds lost.
Okay.
I don't know. Call taxi.
Okay. You guys call a taxi, and then where are you going?
I think we're going back, right?
Okay. You're gonna go back
It's going to be a really expensive taxi ride.
without
it is.
without album, without vessel, and you're heading back to the precinct.
Yes, because we're looking for album and vessel.
Okay. All right. So you get in a cab and you start heading back to the precinct where Detective Diodanda works.
Yeah.
And the cabbie is just talking. Did you fucking hear? A fucking explosion in New York. Like, are you serious? Like, this is
God.
yeah. Oh, holy shit. Are you okay? Do you need to go to the hospital? He looks over at Fawn, who's got like a bloody bath towel wrapped around her shoulder. That doesn't look good.
Yeah, we would have needed to get that taken care of before going back to New York.
Yeah, I mean, you guys were taking care of the.
Actually,
Yeah.
If that's the case, then
I don't
it's
want to
like
go to a New York hospital.
it's like 8 a.m. in the morning now. You get in the cab. You're still gone to a hospital.
So maybe that's where we're going. Is first we're taking you to the hospital.
Yeah, I need to
Okay.
go to a local hospital because I don't want to be in a New
Okay,
York hospital. with
so
injuries.
he asks the same question and he takes you to the hospital.
Yeah.
Go inside. Someone takes a look at it. Eventually, you wait around the emergency room for a bit. It's America, so it takes a while for you to be seen. And then you go inside, and doctor comes over like, "What the hell happened to you?"
You know, I should have thought of a story before we got here.
John.
I feel
You
like
got
Derek
jumped.
and Long are like, "See ya."
That is exactly. Yeah, I was just like, nope. I'm just gonna disappear off the
Just
grid. I've done
noping
it
the hell
once.
out of it. Yeah. Okay. So you're at a hospital and yeah.
Yes. What role am I going to need to roll? And then I'll see how good my story is.
Persuasion, it's fine.
Okay. Let's roll persuade and see
You're just
what
trying to
happens.
come up with a story. Okay.
All right, I pass.
Okay. Okay. Oh goodness.
I'm going to say it was like a car crash.
Was mowing the lawn and the blade just.
I was
came up.
going to say that, but it's like 8 o'clock on a Monday morning. And I was like, I don't know if that would really work as well.
That's not how lawnmowers work either.
It was a car
You got
crash.
stabbed. I think you should say you got jumped.
Okay. In my car. There you go.
You got okay.
It's one of those things where like the person in front of you like stops short. So then you like have to hit them. And then it's all like a whole thing. That's what happened.
You rear-ended somebody and you have a massive gash. I don't think that's how this works.
It's the scheme where like they get you to stop your car because you ran into them and then they jump you.
What
That's what
part of
happened.
your vehicle caused this giant gash in your shoulder?
No. That's where I got stabbed.
You got stabbed? Did you report this yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of looks at you a little bit suspicious, but okay. All right. Do you? Okay, that's fine. And so he takes your information, and he's like, I'm assuming the investigating office is probably going to want your medical records here and everything.
Yeah, I'll take a copy for the insurance claim as well.
I mean, criminal too, I'd imagine. Someone stabbed you.
Yeah,
Okay. They're not gonna raise too much of a fuss, but you get the sense that they are going to remember this interaction as being bizarre. The story not quite sounding right, but nonetheless, they're just gonna get on with their day. It's early in the morning on a Monday, and it's a weird story, but whatever. I'm not gonna push. And they sew you up. I like that. Okay. Chelsea, you're in the waiting room waiting for her, I assume? Is that right? Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. You're on the news. There's little TVs sitting about. And all the morning news is talking about this explosion in New York. It's not that far away. It's really close. Like, it looks like there's 24 dead on estimate.
What time is it?
I mean, at this point, by the time you guys are at the hospital, after you just did the thing with the car, like, it's 9 o'clock in the morning at this point. And you're going to probably want to let me finish on this one. And you can see that there's a New York City cop who is, like, making a plea to people. And he's saying... kind of giving it like at approximately 1:37 a.m. this morning, outside the McAllister building in Manhattan, an explosion occurred, origins of which are still being investigated. In doing so, it took out 2 brownstones. The McAllister building itself, it's a Native building. It severely injured 2 pedestrians who were walking by. Both of whom are in critical condition. It's very touch and go. We're not releasing names currently, as you can expect, as we're waiting to see if contacting next of kin. 2 vehicles were spotted leaving the scene immediately after the explosion. One of them was a 1995 Ford Taurus, either dark blue or black. Partial license plate, and lists it. The other is a 1977, approximately, Volkswagen bus. The bus was also reported having been parked in an alleyway down the street from the building for several days leading up to the explosion. If anybody has seen these vehicles, please contact NYPD as soon as possible. We're considering this an active crime scene, or at least for the time being. And I'll go ahead and take questions at this point. And so he just starts, like, people start asking, asking questions. So Chelsea, 9 o'clock in the morning. This is a little press conference that that you watch while you're here, waiting for Fawn in the waiting room. Now, what would you like to do?
I think at this point, Chelsea realizes that there's no point in us going back. But she'll wait for Fawn to come out whenever she's done, and then she'll tell her, this is what happened.
Okay. Thanks, Bert. Thanks for that sub. They blew up a building tonight. 2 of them, in fact, killed like 20-something people. It went beautifully.
I got stabbed in the neck by a tomahawk.
She got hacked in the neck by a 28-year-old feminist poet who apparently was like a near undefeatable boss. This
When we all roll poorly, this is what happens.
It was pretty fantastic. Chelsea, so you're still waiting. Hour later. Again, it's U.S. Hospital. Eventually, Fawn comes out, but she comes out right as apparently the news you're watching, local New York news, comes on, and it shows a picture of a man, very pixelated CCTV footage. It's hard to really see, but you can tell that white hair, kind of white face, it's kind of downcast, looks to be 2 pictures, one of which seems to be like CCTV footage at a hardware store, maybe something like that, out the window into a parking lot, and it's seen, and you notice like no one else would recognize it as Agent Album. You recognize it as Agent Album because you know it's him, you know it's his van. You can see him like getting into the vehicle. Another picture that they're showing, same place. He's at the actual countertop. Buying various items and stuff, and like they're saying, if the webbots is this man, this individual, if anyone has seen him, please contact NYPD Blue. NYPD Blue. What am I doing? NYPD. Please contact Detective Andy Sipowicz. at the whatever the fuck precinct that was. Yeah, and so you immediately you see this. It's not perfect. Like, you know that it's like it's probably not a good enough pick because it's super pixelated. It's 95. It's not great, but you recognize it as album for sure. And because it seems like they've located the bus. They've seen the bus in like some local areas and everything. Everything's moving really fast.
I don't think we can come up with a good enough story. I think.
Yeah, you ready to go home?
Yeah, I think we should probably just say our farewells and just leave this one well enough alone at this point.
Chelsea is gonna look a little despondent, and because she already knows that she got in trouble with her place at home, with the FBI office, her one that she primarily works out of, and she's gonna be like, before we go, I need to make a call, and she's gonna need to like leave a message for Agent Marcus, because
okay,
she's gonna need a new identity.
Okay, you need to come up with a new identity.
Yeah, like
okay.
She's gonna have to get probably some reports faked that she was in the building when it exploded, and I think Chelsea's losing everything today.
Holy shit. Okay, so you want to get a new identity. All right.
Yeah.
I have no idea how this works. Okay. All right. So the basics are that you are not going back to your life in Rhode Island.
Nope.
You're not going back. Okay. Fair enough. Fawn, what about you?
I would say that now that I think about it, I'm trying to think of how I got to New York if I drove and my car is at the hotel.
Probably flew. I think unless you live there.
I think you flew.
Bert's like, it's Rhode Island. Why would you want to go back? Aw. So we've insulted New Jersey and Rhode Island thing. Awesome.
Yeah, I think I'll go back home.
Okay. All right. So you head home. Chelsea, you take whatever little cash you have. You try to get in contact with Agent Marcus. Okay. And you try to come up with some kind of way to get kind of false papers, false ID. Roll bureaucracy. Let's just see if you can. I don't like bureaucracy for that. Maybe criminology. Or you can try to do it yourself. You have computer science, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can always try to do it yourself.
Okay, I'll try it.
It'll take time. Okay.
Success.
It's gonna take time,
Nice.
but I mean, you're very savvy with computers, and you know that most identity stuff these days is becoming more and more digitalized. People are putting more and more records into databases. So yeah. Okay. So Fawn, you head out back to Maryland, was it?
Yes.
Album is somewhere probably western Pennsylvania, continuing the drive. Vessel is head leaning up against the window of an airplane on a Delta, and he's just kind of snoring away. Chelsea, you do you want to go back to Rhode Island at all, or do you just want to you're just completely cutting ties and just doing what you can? Are you trying to at least salvage your bank accounts or anything like that?
She'll try and she'll probably head back to salvage what she can, but she's planning on cutting all ties and.
Okay. All right. I think I kind of know where everyone's at then, so I think we can sort of get to a decent ending point. So this is what we'll say. We'll say all of you kind of go in your separate ways. You have a plan. Chelsea's is probably the one that's going to be most complicated, but it's also something that we can handle in some home scenes in between chapter 1 and chapter 2. But let's go ahead and just sort of resolve a little bit of what's going on. We'll say as Fawn gets in a cab, or maybe you go to a bus station and you start riding a bus back to Maryland.
That
Chelsea,
sounds good.
you get in a cab. Maybe Fawn gives you some whatever cash you have left over from bribing the automotive guy, and you head to an internet cafe and or a public library, and you get to work. But we're gonna go ahead and sort of close it down. As imagine for a moment, as you all kind of pan away, gonna go in your different directions. We see like this quick moment of one person, the next person, everyone kind of returning back after the explosion. We see news reports, like this montage of news reports, as more and more information starts popping up. Pictures, more and more like grainy pictures. This time also a vessel now who's also there. Like a second man has been identified in various CCTV footages as two men were seen Sunday afternoon going around to various places within short driving distance of the McAllister building, collecting what experts have said could have been made into some kind of improvised explosive device. And then cuts to like initial conclusions by the FDNY have learned that the utilities to the McAllister building were turned off, so any electrical or gas main explosions are extremely unlikely. Likely this is the case of some sort of violent act. And then you see pictures of the various people who were in the building at the time. You see people like someone's interviewing Thomas Manuel's parents, and they're like weeping and they're crying and they're talking about what a promising young artist was, and we didn't even know he was working, and we haven't talked to him in months, and all sorts of horrible things. At one point, you see like the picture, or you see on the TV, and you're wherever you're at, or you open up a newspaper, you see the photo of Thomas Wright, Abigail's father, and like he's sort of talking nonsense about how that like the building was cursed, my daughter went missing and now it's exploded, like good riddance, but hopefully that kind of thing. And like we get several days out from the explosion, right? And then like imagine like a movie, for instance, right? And like a camera just kind of goes black really quick, and we get like a little like a couple days ago, right? And we hear like this sound of like some kind of something sort of scraping starts to interrupt the blackness, right? And then we hear this like constant continuous buzz, and we realize as the black kind of comes away that we're looking at like the interior of what looks like a 747, and there's like this this buzz happening inside we'll say seat 24, and we see what looks like Agent Vessel has cleaned himself up, and he's on the window seat, and he's kind of turned over off to his left, and you can see like his arm is kind of moving, and we hear just a scrape. The lights are down. It's pretty dark because it's one of those overnight flights. We just hear scrape. And we see the screen kind of go black again, transitions a little bit, and we still hear that kind of carving, scraping sound, and then suddenly that comes back up, and we see a wall filled with all sorts of papers, printouts, newspaper clippings, handwritten notes. You can see these arrows drawn on index cards in big bright red marker, like spread amidst like the chaos of the wall. And we see Matthew Lancet, Agent Album's brother, leaning over his computer, kind of typing, looking at the wall, typing, looking up at the wall, typing, looking at the wall. And behind him, we've got all these printed and unripped spools of dot matrix printer paper that has like the perforated bottoms and tops, and they've kind of been unfurled around the room. We see chemical formulas and compositions printed in like what looks like an increasingly fading font, like he's just been printing. We see all sorts of bags, plastic bags, paper bags filled with what looks like commercial epoxy sitting undisturbed at the foot of an unmade bed. And we see all sorts of like cardboard storage boxes like stacked here and there, some with lids, some without, some upright, some tipped over, just tax documents, various industrial epoxy provider kind of catalogs for ordering, and kind of fades to black once more, and we come back again, and we still hear that kind of scrape. We see an office door that's open. We see the name Chelsea Smith printed and set in like this generic display frame on the wall left of the door. And we got inside, these two guys in security uniforms are filling up the same kind of cardboard box with all sorts of tchotchkes from her desk, pictures of Chelsea, of her sister, of various others. We see, you know, a fern coming off of off of like the filing cabinet and stuff, and they're like kind of breaking down her office. And it's scrape, like scrape. We move to another box sitting. I would imagine you guys probably emptied out the rental car of your various belongings.
Yeah.
The books, the old leather books, the hydromantia. Who would have taken those?
Chelsea had the books and stuff on her.
Okay.
I had the two that I had, I think,
Okay.
unless you took all of them,
All right.
Chelsea.
So we see a car. We see Agent Chelsea. Her hair a little different, kind of maybe colored a little bit differently, right? Like maybe you're like changing
I'm
your
blonde
look.
now,
You're
yeah.
blonde now. Okay, right on. So we see a blonde Agent Chelsea with her big old glasses, and you're putting what looks like groceries into the back of a trunk of a car. Coincidentally enough, a 1994 Ford Taurus, and you're having to like move various boxes to the side just to fit the groceries, and we see this box that says on the side, DeCraig Corp Limited, Kemper and Whitehorse Street, Chicago. It's filled with a silver robe and a pair of these old leather books. Okay, one of them is this large, ancient, huge text with the label Hydromantia on the cover, and then the other is this much smaller, bound in red leather book that's just sitting covered up by that silver robe. And then we transition again, and we see this kitchen table now, and the scraping is still going on, drenched in sunlight from this nearby window. And we see Agent Fawn sitting at it. She's got like an NYU sweatshirt on. Outside, there's like a window right next to the kitchen table. Children are playing. You see two boys chasing this younger girl, and they're shooting her with very super soakers and stuff. The little girl's like whipping around, this red ribbon fluttering in the breeze, and she's like loping, trying to run and kind of awkwardly. And Fawn is there. She's got what looks like a sling over her arm that she's still sort of fitzing with. Next to her on one of the chairs is this big box filled with tools. And there's like wrenches and sockets and screwdrivers. And as the camera kind of closes in on her, we see a couple books off to the side, one of which is the history of the Russo-Germanic, hegemony, and another looks like something about a world without doors. And we see all sorts of like these broken down clock pieces, as if she's like breaking down these old clocks and looking at gears, picking one up and just tossing it into what looks like a big old trash bin next door. And then suddenly she stops as this gentle and very eerie nursery rhyme, with xylophone sounding, starts to chime in, waft in through the windows. And when she looks up, she sees the children are screaming in joy, chasing down this ice cream truck that their parents has flagged down. Fawn kind of shakes her head a little bit and kind of goes back, and she looks down, and she's kind of scraped herself with the flat of the screwdriver, like kind of bleeding a little bit. Transition again, this time back to Matthew Lancet. He's got this wall of crazed papers. We see science articles, business orders, stock histories, newspaper articles, coupons for like Home Depot, Ace Hardware. It's a hoarder's mess. It's gotten worse and worse. It's starting to look exactly like Abigail Wright's apartment. And the camera kind of zooms across this collection of evidence, and we kind of focus for a moment on this pixelated printout, this black and white photo of a chemical lab. There's like a file directory print at the bottom corner of the print sheet that has like the very last file name is like Hexion-Founders, and then the picture, there's 4 men in suits that are posing for a photo. They're all smiling, shaking hands, and none of them look even remotely familiar. In the back, we see 2 women sitting at a table. They're recording data. One is holding a clipboard for the other to read. The woman holding the clipboard, as like the camera again zooms in just ever so closely, we see a face that looks identical to the FBI photo of Abigail Wright, except her hair is styled ever so slightly differently, and the pixelation lacks a little bit of clarity. Nearby, Matthew Lancet like yanks another page from his printer. As he's going to place it right over top of where this photo is on the wall, we catch one tiny little glimpse of the woman that Abigail is sitting next to, kind of showing this clipboard to. And they look remarkably like Agent Fawn. And then that scraping sound stops. And we go, and we're in a bright airplane. We're in that same row 24, seat D. Vessel's not there. The row's empty. Lights pouring in from the windows. And we can see that a flight attendant woman in kind of blue uniform is picking up various pieces of trash that are like tucked in between like the different seat cushions. And she suddenly stops. She looks up, and there is this very familiar geometric shape that has been carved into the plastic just underneath the window. Some swoops, some angles, very familiar to all of you. Camera goes black, and we hear the voice of the flight attendant suddenly say, "Have you seen the yellow sign?" And then that's the end of chapter 1 of Impossible Landscapes.
What?
Sorry, I did embellish a little bit at the end.
Oh,
Okay.
goodness.
Nice.
That is the end of chapter 1.
Oh, dear.
Guys blew up 2 buildings. You guys critically
We rolled
failed.
so
We
bad.
did.
Holy crap, on 2 like such key rolls. That was hilarious.
I know. I thought at some point it would balance for the night, and it didn't.
Oh, absolutely
it just
not,
kept
yeah.
going.
It just kept getting worse.
You got like 3 crit fails alone.
That crit fail
Oh my
on the placement
gosh.
of the explosions, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. I can't
Yep.
wait. I already knew exactly what was going to happen. I'm like, it's going to take down another building, and there's no going back from
Yep.
that. Like,
Yep.
uh,
This is when it affects your life outside of Delta Green.
all right.
Right.
So, why don't you guys go ahead and do your rolls to increase your skills? Because I think a lot of you failed some stuff tonight pretty spectacularly.
Just a couple.
So, chapter 1 of 4 chapters. Impossible Landscape is a 4-chapter campaign. We're playing through the whole thing. We are going to be off from Delta Green next week, as we're going to be doing a one-shot of a Kickstarter game that some of our friends over at Diesel Shot are running right now, called Change Stars. But we're going to be back later in May to start up chapter 2. So we will be back with more chapter 2 of Delta Green, and I cannot wait to get through it because chapter 2, first of all, is a big time jump.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that off air, and I'll walk you guys through what you're going to need to do. Chelsea especially has some major life changes that she's going to have to be going through.
I'm excited.
Album is going to have an issue with his brother. Thank you for those bits there, Lucifer. Appreciate that. Yeah. I think we had 2 people who took disorders in the first chapter, right? 2 people had breaking points. This is the easy chapter too. That's crazy. But yeah, we'll be back in a couple weeks to get back to Delta Green, but we will be back next week just playing a different game just for a week as we want to help them out while their Kickstarter is running.
Yeah, trying out the Kickstarter.
And I cannot wait to get back to this. There's so much more to do. I really like the different takes and how you guys just dealt with it. I just love how Vess was like, yeah, I'm just going to get on a fucking plane and go. And
It's like, see ya.
I was like, I'm just going to drive
I
west and
felt it. I
burn
just
my
had to go.
fucking, yeah, it's great.
It's such a long response, though. I love it.
It's honestly, it's a fairly good response. Like, I don't give a shit. That's fine. Oh boy.
Bert's
Okay.
making me so nervous.
It gets crazy. Like, I've read the whole thing. I love this campaign. Like, I just enjoyed reading it. Like, I said it to Emilsa like 1,000 times. Just reading through Impossible Landscapes has been very enjoyable. It's creepy. When I was reading through it full time, like I was seeing things like I was saying last time. Like, oh yeah, yeah. So, what else? We've got other things that we're doing on the channel. So tomorrow we're playing another game. You're gonna catch me, Ashley, Long, and Melissa as we're playing Worlds Without Number. Starting at 6 Central. We just started up last week. It's really fun. Sci-fantasy hex crawl. Monday, we'll be back on the Free League Publishing channel, playing Things from the Flood. So you can catch us there. I am like in games for 12 hours straight tomorrow, it feels like, but ours was right in the middle. And then next Friday we'll be back with Change Stars. So I think that's about it. Did anybody hit like 4s on their rolls? Anybody get like a good roll?
Yeah, I got 4 on my search, so that's going up a bit.
Right on. Anybody
I got
get
ones.
Oh, you got 1s? That's a shame. That's a shame. So we'll talk off air about how we're going to prep up for chapter 2 so I can get some prep going, and then we'll get to do some home scenes. We'll see what's been transpiring in between the end of chapter 1 and the start of chapter 2 with all of your agents. We'll see how that goes. So I think what I'm going to do is going to raid our friends over at Defenders. I think they're going. Yep, they're up. And I'm going to throw us on the end screen. Thank you for everyone who hung out. Thank you for those of us who threw us some subs tonight. We really do appreciate it.
Thanks for the bits too.
And thank you for the bits. And we will catch you tomorrow for Worlds Without Number if you want to come join us. So good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.